Same. Waiting for it to pop up.
Oh, okay. Oh, and I'm live, I think. Yeah, I definitely am live.
Oh, nice. Let's see
Yeah.
if I.
I didn't remember turning on auto stream, but there you go. In case we are live, I guess I'll just say welcome to anyone who's coming in right now. I know those first couple seconds of a stream are always like kind of weird as we like set things up and post on our
Yeah.
social channels, all the
Try to get
YouTube
everything
things.
working. And neither one of us expected it to auto start, but it looks like it's up. Yeah, mine's up too.
Yeah,
So
nice.
yeah, welcome everybody. Yeah, welcome Charles. And yeah, I
Oh,
think we're live on both channels now, right?
yeah, I believe so. I forgot to type in everyone when I sent it to my Discord community, so no one saw that. I'm sure.
I forgot to send it out. I was planning on sending out an email just a little while ago to let everybody know. Maybe I'll do that once we get started. Let's talk for a little while, then I'll let everybody know that we're live and running and see how it goes.
I
Oh,
also
cool. I
said,
like that little light you got in the background, by the way, Dan.
oh, thanks. Yeah, the little Edison bulb here.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool.
I
I
gotta,
like that. The thing's just neat. I got weird stuff like that everywhere.
yeah, I know. I'm
Oh,
trying to
bless.
like spruce up my whole setup here so it looks more interesting. I finally got like a nice stand for my camera. It actually mounts to my desk. So like I'm slowly getting to a place where like my whole like just making a video will be as simple as clicking on the camera, turning on the lights, and just doing the thing, as opposed to what I do now, which is I spend like 45 minutes setting up my entire office.
Yes.
especially with
I,
the Charles and Barles skits I do. Like I really spend way too much time doing setup.
oh, I can imagine. Are you like moving the camera around constantly, or do you have
Oh
two
my
set up at
gosh.
least?
I have two setups. So like at least I have
Okay.
a script for Barles and a script for Charles, and I set those up independently, but it's so much time.
I can imagine it. That kind of stuff is yeah, slow. It's what keeps me from doing it. I had the reason I had to put my camera back up is I'd pulled it down to do a video. I really want to do a video on this arcade cabinet setup that I've got that customized and converted over to run Unity. But it's just like recording a video where I'm not just talking is really, really hard. Like, so
Yeah.
I envy the people who go out and make these like really cool videos where they're doing all kinds of crazy shit and they've got like the whole thing like lined up and thought out and stuff. Like I struggle really. Like I'll come up with ideas and then getting it all in order really hard.
Yeah.
Need
That's the
somebody to
biggest
teach me
thing.
that one day.
It takes a lot of patience, and when your equipment breaks, you have to be really resourceful.
Yeah.
For some
um,
reason, my chat doesn't seem to be working. By the way, if anyone is on my side, just jump into my Discord, and that's where I'm kind of troubleshooting as we go. So sorry about that. I won't interrupt on that again.
oh, strange. I wonder if it's because of how we're linked up with a key instead of an account on yours.
It could be. So if anyone wants to chat, if you're watching on my stream, if it's not working, you can go to Jason's channel, and his chat is definitely working.
Yeah, that's it. We'll have to figure that out for the next one.
I
Get more
promise you,
cats.
anyone watching, I promise you, we did not coordinate on the colors. Like we're wearing the same shirt color. Our backgrounds look kind of similar. That's pretty awesome.
That was hilarious. Yeah, this was like the one day I was like, you know what? I know almost every day I either wear like a red hoodie, I mean a white hoodie or a black hoodie, and I was like, I'm gonna wear a red hoodie. That'll be different today. Like, nope, it's not different.
Nice.
Good stuff.
Uh,
Anyway, yeah, for everybody that's watching today, the plan was to go over a couple different things. We're going to talk about some Unity or just game dev video ideas. I put out a form and got a bunch of submissions, and it's just kind of going to talk about some of those, see what we thought about them, and maybe take some of them, also make some of them available and known to everybody else that's interested. And then the other thing I want to do is review or go over a couple other people's YouTube channels. So subscribers' YouTube channels. If you're in here watching and you have a small game dev related YouTube channel and you want to share it and get a little feedback or just get it out there and let people know about it, let us know, drop it in chat or something, or I guess I could share the forms too, and you could go submit them there. So I'm gonna actually let me pop up the link to the form too. So if anybody happens to have another video idea that they want to share while we're going through these, you guys can just I guess share 'em. I'll just drop it in chat. All right. Anyway,
Nice.
man.
It's brave, man.
Yeah.
Don't blow up the document.
It'll just get longer, right? That's the nice thing about Google Forms and their docs and their sheets. You just get like another entry on the row and just go until you feel like
Yeah.
enough of them. But there were quite a few. Did you got the list, right? The one that I sent you?
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. Just pulled it up. Yeah, some great ideas in here. I'm
Yeah,
triggered
like
by a couple of them. I see the word MMO
oh yeah.
triggered.
MMO related ones.
I
Yeah.
didn't read the question to be honest, so it could be a
Let me see.
legitimate
Which
question.
one was about? Oh, that's about MMO tool building and
Oh, that's cool.
MMO the I guess like the back end side of it, like what that's like. So let me just I guess I wanted to jump in with the first question. It was one that I answered in email real quick and just see what your thoughts are too. Because
Okay.
this is one that probably hits everybody. And it was just question about how to get involved in the game industry, assuming that things kind of stay the way they are with the pandemic, or at least, during this time when, can't do a lot of the things that we would normally recommend, or at least the things I would normally recommend, like go to user groups, go to every meetup, go to
Yeah.
all those things. I can't recommend that now. So, I had some recommendations I sent out, but I'm curious what you would say. Like, if you wanted to get into just programming or game dev, I'd say either one because they're both pretty much the same.
Yeah. There's definitely a lot of approaches, right? Like there's definitely from a technical and a skill level side of the thing, you have to obviously work, on projects on your own. You need to build up your experience, read a lot of books, take a lot of courses. And one thing that I also recommend is like trying to produce a lot of things. I know that's kind of vague, but I know a lot of people, including myself included, they get into game development. And obviously, there's a lot of ways to approach game development too. Like you could either be like a hobbyist trying to make it your profession. You could say, "Hey, I just want to be someone who works at a big company like Blizzard," or you might say, "Hey, I have an idea for my own indie game that I want to make." So there's a lot of entries into the whole industry as a whole. But I tend to see that a lot of folks just have like this big idea, like the idea that for a game that they've been mulling over in their minds for even years. I know I did. I had a really cool idea, and I was like, "I'm going to learn Unity. I'm going to do it." I would say now in retrospect that is not the best approach to just lean into a single project. So my recommendation first and foremost from a skills perspective is of course you need to be educating yourself, whether that be traditional education of college or whether you take your own DIY approach of like doing courses, but also you need to be producing and working. So I always recommend making small projects. Like start by recreating small existing games like Snake or gosh, even tic-tac-toe, just start small, get the wheels turning, make it muscle memory to open up Unity, to get familiar with the UI, set up your workflow, because there's definitely a workflow from start to finish on any project. That's fairly similar. Of course, different genres demand different, like a multiplayer game versus a single player game versus a platformer are going to require different workflows, but essentially you're going to develop, habits and routines for how you work. There's also time management skills there. So just make a bunch of small projects, which of course serves two purposes. Not only are you building on your own skills, but you're building a portfolio too. So that's good. And also it allows you to see the full workflow from start to finish. Because I know a lot of people get into like prototype hell, where you're just prototyping, making like really cool GIFs and sharing them on Reddit. And it's like, oh, I did this thing. But like there's such value in getting to end of job on something.
Mhm.
So that's why I always say like, just make tic-tac-toe, make Battleship, make it in Unity, get to end of job where you have the deployable archive and put it up on a web page. Use the WebGL thing and put it up on a web page. The other side, so that's the skill side. Well, I guess before I jump into the other side, is that in line with what you were thinking too? Like just sort of develop your skills,
For
work
the
small
Yeah, for
projects.
the learning, definitely. I would say those all yeah, make games, make lots of little ones, and, make different types of games too. That's one of the benefits of, making small ones is you can do them quick enough that you can go through a variety of different types of games and kinda run into different types of problems, see how they kinda work together, and then, yeah, other than, yeah, sharing it, make sure that whatever you're doing, you're sharing, along the way. When you're doing these WebGL builds, say don't wait until the end if you can find some people to share with, start sharing your builds along the way, get feedback from friends or other nerds that are into the same kind of stuff, right? Just find a couple people that like the same kind of thing and are doing the same kind of thing that you can bounce ideas off of, and obviously give them feedback too on their stuff. Yeah,
Definitely.
I totally love all that advice. So let's go on to the. So you think you might be good enough to get the job, not completely sure, probably, because a lot of times if you haven't had the first one, it's really hard to have the confidence to know it. So you think you're at that point. What would you recommend to start going out and actually finding a job? Maybe they go out and they've already tried applying on Monster and Indeed and a couple other things, which generally would say not gonna go anywhere. I mean, I literally still see job postings from a company that was shut down like 4 years ago on Indeed because they just don't
Ugh.
disappear. Like, if you don't
Yeah,
clean it
yeah.
up, like, it shows up there. Like, nobody's looking at those. Like, I don't know, how it is on all the sites, but, um, just doing that alone isn't probably the best option. So what else you got?
So then on the other side of things, once you start making projects, or you don't even have to wait, you can do this all, concurrently, is get involved in a community, and this is something where I know a lot of people also approach this in I got to say the wrong way. I approach this in the wrong way, I'll say. My whole idea with joining communities like subreddits, like the Unity 3D subreddit, or maybe going on Twitter and becoming a part of a hashtag or whatever, is like I was always like putting out and expecting to get back. Like I was always just trying to just share my thing and say, hey,
Get feedback?
upvote me. Yeah, exactly. Upvote me, give me a job, notice me. But you really have to approach this thing like authentically. You have to be a part of the community. And so you have to participate, and earnestly too, because I know that when I realized immediately that, oh, just posting my own stuff isn't going to cut it, I actually have to respond to people. I would just make a job out of like, okay, I'm going to reply to 10 posts every day, and like not really even think about what I was saying, just be like, oh, cool thing there, thanks for sharing, and just like really surface level comments. And so, yeah, my advice would be to get involved with the community. Now, what that community is, another piece of advice that I would give is lean into what makes sense and what works for you. And I'll give an example, myself as an example. Again, like I'm not a forum person. I'm not really good at keeping up with forums. I never have been. I love the idea of a forum, and I always like see really cool threads, and I always think, man, I wish I could participate in that. But I'm just not a forum person. I don't know what it is. I just don't have what it takes to like log in every day and participate. I'm more of like a Reddit guy. I'm always on Reddit. I'm always lurking. So maybe you're on Facebook, maybe you're on Instagram, maybe you're on TikTok. I don't know, whatever it is that you are most comfortable with, I would say lean into that and try to find a community there. And so you don't have to build new habits. You can just participate in the community where you're already, active.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Community is definitely good, but, so say you're in some like one of these bigger communities, how would you use that, I guess, to get into a
yes.
job?
So essentially, the whole point of community is that you're going to meet like-minded people who will hopefully be in a position to offer you some work, who will see your value and offer you work. I don't actually work in the game industry yet, but even in my industry, there are plenty of times where I will, even right now, I have job openings. I'm a manager right now, so I'm in charge of hiring people at my job. So I guess that gives me some,
And your
insight.
industry is software, right?
I'm in
Writing code?
yeah, I write security and compliance software. So for enterprise, organizations. So even now, one of my guys on my team, he is involved on a couple of Slack boards that he's very involved in, and they're all like, one of them is like the language, like a Java board. One of them is, like an API or something like that. He sent me like 4 or 5 resumes because each one of those has a channel for job postings, or he just knows these people. And he was like, you know what? My company's looking for jobs. He put it out into the universe. Someone on there knew him and said, yeah, I'm interested. Can I send you my resume? That made its way to me. I'm not even a part of these Slack communities. And so we have looked at resumes, and I haven't really followed up on them yet, but I will definitely follow up on those people. And they are just, again, a part of a Slack board, and the position's remote, so it doesn't really matter where they are, So yeah, the idea is you need to authentically network with people. And the idea is that eventually someone will be in a position to offer you, a job, or maybe, it's a two-way street. So you might even be in a position one day down the road where you are working at a job and they're saying, hey, we're looking for developers. And you can say, oh, I know a guy or I know a girl and I can get their resume. So yeah, it's just networking, knowing the right people, I think is, how you can sum it up.
Yeah, I think that's generally what it all comes down to, right? Like, I used to just recommend, do it at meetups, do it at user groups that are local. When those open up and you can do it again safely, obviously it's one of the best things you can do because you get to go meet people face to face. And first time sucks, second time probably not great, but after you go for 6 months, it gets really comfortable. People start to become friends, and you will, unless you just argue with everybody or ignore everybody, you'll probably find somebody who wants to offer you a job, assuming it's a job that you kind of know how to do. But I mean,
Yeah.
I've seen so many people get hired at those things, and everybody that I've ever seen that came into like a meetup type environment where it was a regular like monthly meetup and continued to come, like all of them, I'd see them like go from like, hey, just got here, just moved here, don't have a job, learning how to code. And then like a year and a half later, they're like, yeah, I'm a manager and I'm hiring. Like I'm running this department now, and we're looking to hire more people. And they're like at the meetup hiring. So I've seen
Yeah.
it happen many, many times. So it's networking is by far the best. I mean, that's how I got into game development, was literally a friend sent me a message randomly, asked me if I wanted to come work for him. Like, yep. Okay. And I think
Yeah.
that's a lot of people, like a lot of people get hired just by knowing somebody. One of the other things I would recommend, so in addition to all these like asynchronous things like forums and meeting stuff, and even chat groups and stuff, is to, if you can, well, I mean, you can, obviously. Anybody watching this can do it. They just have to decide they want to and put in the effort, I guess. Come up with a small group of like, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 other developers who are, in about the same position as you. Not developers who are doing crazy things that you don't understand at all, or who don't, or are way below your level and they don't understand what you're doing. But people that are right somewhere near around the level of the stuff that you're doing, and start meeting up with them weekly. Just like set up a weekly call. I have these for other things. I've done them for game development. And they're one of the most valuable things you can have. Set up a little mastermind group, like a small group of people that is dedicated to meeting up every week, and just meet for an hour, talk about your game dev stuff, your progress on things, the issues that you ran into throughout the week. And what you'll find is, like, even though you may have found a solution. So well, let me give like a just real quick example of why, one of the reasons this can be so valuable. So you're in these meetups, right? You're sharing all of the crap that you've done throughout the week, and the problems that you ran into, and the ways that you solved those problems. A lot of the time when I've done that, what I'll find is that the people that I'm friends with that are in these groups will have a much better solution to the problem that I solved. They'll tell me like, hey, you could have done this another way that was a lot easier and saved you a lot of time. Or the thing that most valuable is, sometimes they'll call me and go, I thought you were gonna do something completely different. Why are you even wasting your time on that? And I go, oh yeah, I kind of fell down a trap, got distracted, went off the path, wasn't doing what I needed to do, and need to turn it around. And they're really great for just accountability and feedback. So highly,
Yeah.
highly recommend setting something like that up. And if people fall off, new people come in, totally fine. Just make it. You can make it work, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's really good advice too. Is trying to find that group of people that, a tight knit group that you can kind of grow together. Um, Obviously having a mentor is really powerful, and I know a lot of people reach out to me, and I appreciate that, and I'm humbled by that they want me to help mentor them. And mentorship is good, but you can get even more value out of just having a group of people who are at your level, who are all with the same growth mindset. You're all working on your separate projects and you're trying to grow, and you kind of share and collaborate. And that's really good, especially for those moments where, yeah, you kind of get tunnel vision. I know I do too, especially when I'm like, I get, again, like prototype hell is where I land a lot, where I'm just like working on something. But, I know that when I've joined calls, recently I did a Unity happy hour thing with some other Unity influencers or whatever. And I wanted to show this game that I had made for my wife for Valentine's Day. And, I was like, I got to get it into a good state. So it acted as like a soft deadline for me to like get everything kind of done and cleaned up so that I could show it to them. And I think that's valuable too. Like if you're working on a project and that, you've got a group of people who maybe you meet them once a week and you want to show them some progress, and maybe you all share each other's progress. It gives you a little something to work towards. You're not just kind of like siloed working on something where it's very easy to get lost.
Yeah. So I think we're in agreement there. Everybody should do it. If you don't have a group, go make yourself one.
Definitely.
Go find a couple people and slowly. I mean, it'll be not very great at first, and it'll get better over time, right? First one might just be a meeting of 2 people that goes on for 6 hours, and you're like, "What the hell was that?" And then slowly you'll get it figured out. But yeah.
Yeah.
I wanna see what the other questions were, because I know a lot of people started submitting them after I dropped the link in. Yeah, it went
Definitely.
up by quite a few. So the next one was just about building MMO tools, like a video about doing tools development, which I probably won't do anytime soon. But I don't know if you ever do things on like data tool development stuff. I mean, MMO tools are essentially just like data, a lot of the time, just database. It's a layer on
Yeah.
top of the database to shove all of the content in, because usually there's so much content in there that it's getting put into some sort of database, so you can do mass manipulation of the data and stuff. And you need to change things and just be able to query things, all that. So, do you ever do videos on how to do that kind of stuff?
I think I have a video on making a tool. I forgot what it was. It was like a couple years ago I did, but I mean, it's definitely something that I've been wanting to pursue. I just want to approach it at a higher level. Of course, there's a lot, because it's like, what is a tool? The tool is whatever's going to help you, increase your productivity, improve your workflow. So it's like the tool just depends on what's the task. I mean, I can make a video about making a hammer, but if you're not trying to, if you're not trying to hammer a nail, then it's not helpful to anyone. So I've thought about that, and that's where I struggle. It's like, I don't want to just make one video on one type of tool because it doesn't help anyone. I really want to make a video that just encapsulates what is the value of tooling in general. I think I actually do have a video on tooling now that I think about it, but it's kind of dated. But yeah, I mean, essentially it's like the tools that you're going to develop to help you build your MMO are going to be much different than the tools you're going to create to help you, add content to your survival game or, your roguelike game. The important thing to take away is like Unity, especially. I mean, I think all engines have this, but especially Unity, as what I know of, you have the ability to actually dive into like the editor code and create your own custom inspectors and custom property drawers, windows. And so you essentially you need to use that, you need to leverage that technology to create the tools that are going to help you build your game faster, and really remove any bottlenecks. An example of that is that recently this game that I made for my wife, I made her like a little scavenger hunt for Valentine's Day. So she just logged in. There was little coins all over the map, and like each coin was like a little memento from our relationship and our past. So
Just trying to get me in trouble here, aren't you?
You can
Oh,
steal that idea.
I hope
I'll,
she's
I'll,
not
I'll give you
watching.
I'll give you the game, and you could just change the coins to be whatever. So the biggest bottleneck on that project, honestly, was making the items, because I was using an asset called Top Down. Top Down Engine, I think is what it's called. It's by the guy who made Corgi Engine. And the way that you create items is you have to create an asset where you fill out all the details of the description and everything. Then you have to create a prefab, and then you have to link those two things together. It's just a really slow workflow. So I didn't do this, but what I should have done is I should have just spent maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes of upfront work just creating a little window where I could punch in the information, hit create item, and it would link all that up.
Yeah.
So that's essentially the takeaway. If there's anything in your workflow that's slowing you down or takes time and you think you can automate it, then that's the tool you need to create.
Yeah. Or anything that you're doing often too. That's the thing. Like any process that you do like consistently, just all the time, if it's a manual one, you should automate it. I had a little chart somewhere. I don't think I have it. I don't know where it went. It was on my wall. I think I lost it, but it had like the cost of automating things versus not automating them over time, and just how
Oh,
quickly
nice.
it pays off to actually start automating stuff. So
Oh yeah,
like,
100%.
even tasks that just take a couple seconds, right? But let's see. Let's go on to another one. So somebody was curious about videos on mobile inputs and sensors magic with Unity and Android Studio. Interesting. Hmm. So mobile inputs. Do you ever do stuff with mobile input, like mobile development lately? I've It's been a little while since I've really dug into like shoving anything onto a phone other than
Yeah.
really simple things.
Yeah, not really. I mean, for work we do mobile apps, but they're really straightforward web form apps. Built
What do
on
you do for
Xamarin.
the? Okay, so then for the input, it's just like tapping and stuff.
Yeah, just tapping. Yeah.
Have you used the new input system much in Unity? Or how do you feel about that thing?
You know
Or yeah.
what's funny? I haven't used it in a long time. When I first used it, I made a couple videos about it. It was like alpha, so it was like
Mhm.
really not ready. But I've heard a lot of negative feedback about it, but I really like it. I like how it encapsulates like what you're trying to do. Like for instance, if your game has the concept of firing a gun, you just make an action called fire, and then you can wire it however you want out of band, but your code will never change. And that's obviously that encapsulation is something that I really appreciate. I think Rewired is an asset that had a lot of that too. I never used Rewired, but I understand it's pretty similar. I think my opinion about the new input system is what my opinion is about most of the new Unity stuff is that it's just not fleshed out from a usability perspective. Like under the covers, like ECS is a good example of this. Like it all works really well and it does provide value, but it's really hard to use. And now that may have changed. I haven't used the new input system in a long time, so it could have changed. But I don't know.
That
Have
was
you?
kind of my experience too, going through, and it wasn't that there was like a big problem with it. I think it was primarily just like defaults and setup. Like with the old input or the 1.0 input system, like it works out by default. You don't have to set things up. It's got all of the normal stuff you would want for most projects, and with this one, you have to go in and manually create the default setup every time. Right?
Yeah.
Like it should just, I think, just have like some options in there for like first person shooter setup, bam, you hit it. Like it's got like the defaults for that or whatever without having to pull in a whole template too, right? Just
Yeah.
like something in there so you don't have to like switch your whole project template to get it or go through a GitHub process or something. But I think something like that would probably push me over the edge to starting to use it. And I assume something will probably happen soon. But like I said, I never know with a Unity feature. Like it could get grow and become awesome, or they could end up just buying Rewired, and it's like, I never know what's gonna happen, right?
Yeah.
So both,
I really like to use the vanilla, anything in vanilla I can use. I try to. So like, I would use Rewired for sure, but if it turned out that the input system, did pretty much what Rewired did and, was close enough, I would tend to use that, just to make things
right.
easy as far as shareability of the project.
I think that
Um,
makes sense. Yeah, I was just joking
yeah.
about them buying it and replacing it. They seem to do that on occasion. Just buy the really cool assets and drop them into the editor. Well, let's
But
see, what else was there? There were a lot of questions. I dropped a link in the chat for anybody that's watching to just go, submit other ones in there, in case anybody was curious. Let's see. UI management. Okay, so somebody's curious about UI management videos too. That's one that I've done a little bit, but people always want like these ones, and this might be really good for you, where it's like dynamic UI stuff, and like they want it to work almost like a web app or like a WPF app or something where you
yeah,
pop up these windows,
responsive and all that.
everything
Yeah.
just kind of works. And yeah, like, have you? You've probably done a couple videos on UI stuff, right?
Yeah, I actually just wrote a script for Unity for a video that they're going to produce on their channel, um, and yeah, it's funny that this question came up because I've really been digging into UI lately, and yeah, there's a lot of approaches. I know that a lot of questions come in about MVC, and typically people want to use that for their UIs in Unity too, and I always say that it's just way too heavy. honestly, the way I treat UIs is I mean, look, I don't make really like UI heavy games, so I'm not making like a tycoon game or something like that where you're always going to be in. I think generally speaking, you can get away with just treating each UI element as kind of like a one-off thing where you just write a script for that window, and maybe you have a singular UI manager script that manages all the windows, so you can kind of pop them up and make sure they don't collide. And of course, everyone's going to be like, "Oh, that's got to be a singleton," which I would say, no, it doesn't have to be a singleton. But yeah, I mean, essentially, yeah, I these days I treat my UIs pretty much like one-offs. I don't try to make a big fuss about frameworking it out and doing anything like that. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly the same. Keep them small and simple. I had a short phase where I tried to MVVM and MVCM and stuff, and I was like, it just literally added a ton of complication and zero value. I was like, okay, this just made it harder for everybody else to use. And yeah, it was just a nightmare.
yeah,
People are asking
yeah.
what your channel name is, Charles.
Infallible Code. Yeah, absolutely. Infallible Code. Check me out. Jason and I have been compared to each other quite frequently because we pretty much cover the same sort of like intermediate to advanced, I'd say, programming topics. But we also both keep it we try to keep it general too, I would say. Like, I think, I don't know if you've experienced this, Jason, but, of getting kind of like pigeonholed into being like the advanced topics, and maybe that scares some people off. But I think we both covered general topics about game development too. So yeah, if you're in
I
game,
just like to talk about game dev stuff too a lot of the time. Like with the videos, I like to do the more advanced ones, but that's
yeah.
just because like the beginner ones, I always think like I run into the trap of like just thinking like everybody already knows that. Like
Oh
nobody
yeah,
cares.
me too. Yeah, me
Nobody
too.
cares. But the beginner ones tend to be really popular too, though. So I
Yeah,
got a new one I got to do soon on 3D beginner stuff, but
nice.
coming up, and the new scriptable object one.
Ooh,
Found a really
great topic.
yeah, a lot of fun for architecture stuff, and do some really cool things with scriptable objects.
Yeah,
Let's
I've been wanting to
see.
do some architecture stuff. I actually got a question already in my chat a couple times about, what's the best architecture used for mid-sized games, and we don't have to get into it, but architecture is
Okay.
one of those things that is like can be a little nebulous. It's like I need to find out what is the architecture, and I guess just to answer that question real quickly, there is no one architecture. The architecture that you need to use for your game is whatever serves your game. And actually, it's interesting because how we're talking about UI and how Jason and I both kind of now tend to just treat our UIs as like one-offs. We don't try to over-architect anything, over-engineer anything. And really, what you said, Jason, is like there's no value in that. There ends up being very little return on investment when you spend all this upfront work. And I'm the first one to say like upfront work is super important, but when it comes to architecture, I don't agree with that. I think upfront work is better when you're doing planning. Planning, maybe if you do like an agile approach and you want to create tickets, or if you want to make a design document, or whatever the case may be, that's where the upfront work comes into play. But I think when it comes to coding these days, in my experience, it's better to just code what you need and then apply the architecture afterwards if you need to expand on what you've already written. I don't know if that tracks with what you've experienced, Jason.
Kind of. I mean, I guess like trying to answer like what's the best architecture for a game is not super, because like all games are different. Well, not all games are very different, right? There's probably 10 different types of games or so where you would have a very different type of architecture for how you put the thing together. Single player, multiplayer, if it's fast paced or turn based or whatever the type of thing is, you're going to want to build it significantly different based on some of those things.
Right.
I think the biggest thing is just making sure that you actually understand the architecture of your project, that you can
Yes.
like that you can communicate in words, in sentences to people how your game works, how things connect together, and not be missing 75% of what's going on in that communication, right? You should be able to explain it relatively easily how things are tied together and how things work. And the biggest thing that people run into with architecture is just that stuff they end up with like these big, like they struggle to link things together, find it hard to connect things, and end up making these big monolithic objects. And then things become spaghettified and linked up and stuff because they kind of get mixed up on how to link objects together and how to communicate between objects. Because yeah, I don't know if there's a specific architecture, but understanding how to communicate between objects and where to put the seams or barriers between your classes and your different systems is probably the thing that helps the most there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not a great answer to the question, though. It was the
Well,
best.
you're never going to get a satisfying answer to that question because, and if you do get like a satisfying question, like if someone says, just use this architectural pattern or, oh, just use, whatever, like there's no one answer. You need to, I think what I'll always say is try to learn as much about architecture, design patterns, architectural design patterns, learn about those things. But truly what'll happen, I think the best scenario, at least I've seen in my own development career, is when the architecture emerges, like when I try to solve a problem with code. And by the way, something else I'll say real quickly is like solving problems with code is the most expensive way to solve a problem. So generally speaking, you want to try to solve your problems without having to write code. I know that when and that might be a controversial thing to say, but I know that when I first got into game development in Unity, the first thing I'd always do, open up Unity, open up my code editor. All right, ready to go. And I'm like, what code am I going to write? But that's, if your goal, and don't get me wrong, I love writing code. So there are times where I'm just like, you know what? I got a couple hours to kill. I want to see if I can write a procedural generator. I'm going to slam some code and just have fun with it. But if your goal is to produce a finished product, a finished game, then the first thing you should ask yourself is, how can I do it without writing code? Or how can how can you solve your problems with as little code as possible? Just a very quick example is my Valentine's Day gift to my wife. I gave myself 2 weeks to do it. And I knew that I couldn't write code. I'd had to go out and I have to figure out some other way. And that's why I used top-down engine, because it was already solved. It already provided all the value, solved all my problems. And I didn't have to write any code for that project. So yeah, that's.
It would have been a waste of your time to rewrite all that, right?
Would have been fun.
A worse product.
I would have had a worse product for sure. Dude, that engine is so good. I'm not even trying to shill it. I don't have an affiliate link, but Top 10 Engine was great. And it honestly, it really opened my eyes to, because, if you've ever done a game jam, this, like you have to cut corners and make compromises. And then when you get to the end of it, you're just like, wow, it's fine. Everything was like, the universe didn't collapse in on itself. My game is fun. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I remember those times.
Yeah.
I was just looking in chat. Somebody mentioned that their professor makes them use polymorphism when composition is the better approach. There's a little bit of a chat about just composition versus inheritance. Interesting stuff. It's one of the things that I remember when I first learned about being able to inherit a class. I was like, oh, this is the coolest thing ever. And I was like, what? I can do this like 20 levels deep. Look at this. This is awesome. And I was like, yeah. Took me many years to realize that was a bad, not necessarily the best thing. But I still do have, a little bit of inheritance in all my projects. So.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's like you should learn all these tools. And, if you're in college, it makes sense that your professor is going to make you use some contrived, whatever he's teaching or she's teaching, they have to make you use it, So it's like, and that's a funny thing about university too. Now I think back about it, like I remember in one of my classes learning about polymorphism, the example my professor used was like, oh, you might have a sword, but then what if you want to make a fire sword or an ice sword? But now that I'm like actually, where I am today, I'm like, dude, never. I would use composition over inheritance any day.
Yeah, I wouldn't make a fire sword and an ice sword.
A fire sword class? Like what? No.
I would add some fire to my sword or something. Yeah. Yeah. That's good stuff. So there was there was one request on a video on object pooling, which I think I've done a lot, but there was another one about ECS use in the same question. So I haven't done anything on ECS lately. I was just curious if you've touched it recently, like video wise.
No, I haven't touched it. Well, I guess the most recent thing I kind of touched ECS video wise was my Spatial OS series because Spatial OS uses ECS under the covers, and you really do have to, lean into ECS when you're creating the entities that go into the world. Spatial OS is like a platform for making MMOs or survival games like Valheim would be actually a great use case for Spatial OS.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah, and they use ECS. So, but other than that, I haven't done ECS probably since 2018, to be honest with you, because it just hasn't really developed. I
Okay.
mean,
Yeah,
I'm
I
sure it
haven't
has
either.
developed, but it's still in preview. It's still in alpha. They're still changing it constantly. So there's no value in doing videos on it because they're all going to deprecate within a couple months anyway.
That's exactly the problem that I ran into. It's every time I get in there, I go through, refresh, learn it, and then yeah, it's just still changing fast. But I assume it's going to settle relatively soon. I figured sometime this year it would start to really lock down, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else do we have here for questions? Oh, animation rigging. That
Ooh.
was one I actually plan on doing a video on. Anybody that hasn't looked at animation rigging should probably check it out. Have you played with that at all?
I haven't, but I've seen a couple of the videos that they put out. I think Mix and Jam did some stuff, and really awesome stuff. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, it seems really neat. It's a pretty cool system. It's in the package manager, so anybody who wants it can grab it and just go through. And like I said, there's a couple videos out there. I would check them out, but I plan on doing something on that sometime soon. I just want to make it fun and interesting. I had a little thing planned up and didn't like it enough, so I was like, "Oh, this is kind of boring." We gotta figure out a fun one.
Yeah.
And then there are a couple on behavior trees. Um,
Mm.
that's one that like I just don't ever really use behavior trees anymore. I don't know about you. Maybe you use them regularly for stuff, but, like, it's been a while since I've run into a game situation where it was the right solution, so it hasn't been fresh on my mind,
Yeah.
something I've thought about wanting to do.
Same here. I mean, I haven't really done a lot of UI, AI sort of stuff or like, enemy AI, things like that. And I know behavior trees are big for that. So in general, I just haven't touched AI. So I've never covered it. What do you use instead of behavior trees? Is there any good alternative or?
I usually just have some sort of a state machine instead. I mean, but
Yeah.
it depends a lot on the game, I guess. There are arguments for behavior trees. I just yeah, I find them harder to comprehend and explain logically to people.
Yeah.
And that yeah, I can usually get the same behavior out of a state machine for most things. I mean, I'm sure there's some cases where I would want to switch to a behavior tree, but I haven't run into them lately.
It's funny, man, and that's like a little sort of meta talk because it's like if you can't explain, something that you've created or you're working on, not only does it, I mean, I wouldn't say necessarily that it means that you don't understand it. It's just there are some concepts that are just really hard to explain. But like when you're working on a big project and you want to involve other people, you don't want to have to. You want to be able to empower people to help you and work on your project. So like talking about tooling and talking about using architecture that's easy to explain and understand. That's like a lot of meta stuff that goes into programming and creating games that you need to consider too. It's like how are you going to be a lone wolf on a project, or are you going to eventually, and you should think about this, are you going to eventually need to enlist other people to help you start, populating your game with content and things like that? Or if are you going to allow people to create their own behaviors for enemies in your games? You want to empower people to do that. And if you have some complex, data structure and that they can't, and you have to be the only one that does, if you have that tribal knowledge, that doesn't help you. It doesn't free you up as a developer to go on and do other things too. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, or you're gonna go working somewhere else on another team, and you're gonna wanna be able to build things that the rest of the team can understand and use too, so you're not having to go in there and explain why this thing happens every single time. Like,
Yeah.
every day you gotta explain why it works because nobody understands it. I've seen that before, right? When you got bad tooling or just a convoluted process where there's a bunch of really unnecessary things that you have to do that could be automated away, but then people don't do them, don't understand, and yeah, stuff falls
Yeah,
apart quick. So,
definitely.
yeah, but yeah, behavior trees, they're cool. I just don't use them too often. let's see. There's another one about using making like a buff mutator system, which I think kind of goes into that whole composition setup, right? So like a buff type system that's
Oh yeah.
modifying stats or adding abilities or things. Essentially, be some sort of a composition system. I think that would be a fun video to do, like
Oh,
how to
that would
like
be a great video.
run
Yeah.
around and do some things. In fact, I've got for the beginner video, I'm gonna do the 3D one. I'm gonna do the top down. I've already done like top down shooter stream and do like a top down shooter video that has some power ups and maybe kind of flows into that. That might be too advanced though. I don't know. Now they like that's the problem I run into with beginner stuff. I'm like, oh, I want to do beginner video, and they're like, I want to add all these cool things to it, but like maybe that's too much. Maybe that's like the last hour of
That's
it.
scope creep. It's a good
Yeah.
opportunity to teach about scope creep. Feature creep.
Yeah, that's the worst thing ever. It's just like when things start to get
I
bigger and
had
bigger and bigger and don't add
dude.
value to the key thing, right?
100%, 100%. Like a good example, another good example of my Valentine's Day gift to my wife. Sorry, I'm not trying to get you into trouble.
No.
But I wanted to do an achievement system because, like, the way I had organized the game, I know, ridiculous. So the way I organized
For
the
next
game,
Valentine's Day, if you want your gift, you got to give them.
seriously. So like there were different items. Like my wife and I travel. So like one of the item types was like tickets. So like I had tickets to Spain is something she could pick up and read about. One of them was pint glasses because we go to a lot of events where you get like free pint glasses that are like branded. And then there was some other item. Anyway, I had a set number for each of those three, and I wanted her to get like a little achievement when she got them all. Like, oh, you collected all the tickets, whatever. But it's like, talk about not providing value. She's not a gamer, you know? So like she wouldn't have even cared, you know, like, oh wow, I got an achievement. What even is that, you know?
What is this? Something's wrong with my phone.
Yeah, seriously, why is it doing this? So yeah, it's a good opportunity to like with scope creep is like, is this really going to provide value? And then another question is like, how much value for the amount of effort it's going to cost?
Yeah, that's one of those hard things. You got to weigh that the reward on the effort, and
Yeah.
it's easy to forget. Man, yeah, I hope my wife's not watching. You're not watching, okay?
Well, she's not watching. I'll just share with you the project, and you can reskin it.
All right. So another one was about doing an RPG. Oh wait, I missed one. American football app with AI for opposition players. So like essentially, is I think for any sports game with field like that, it's going to be very similar type of game. Right? You do like soccer, football, um, rugby, whatever type of thing where you're going across back and forth. Like the rules are going to slightly change, the players and the way they move and things will change, but like
Yeah.
the core architecture there is going to be about the same, right?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't played a football game in a long time, but I imagine there'd be some sort of state machine involved, like when you're picking the play, and then when you switch to the actual like moments where you do the hut hike, and then all of a sudden you can take control of the characters, and you're like running around the field. It's interesting. Like I never really thought about creating a football game.
Yeah, that one's definitely a lot more complex. I was thinking about like I've got the NBA Jam cabinet right over there,
Hmm.
2-on-2 basketball. Super simple, right? That one's nice and easy because just like control. You control two little characters, or you control one character, move it around. But yeah, with that, you've got to switch all kinds of context. You got to switch which player you're controlling. You've got to switch the plays, going through them. Yeah, there's a lot
It's a lot there.
to
It's
that.
impressive, actually. Now that I think about it,
No, when you
they
think about like just the sheer amount of stuff. I mean, the nice thing with those is like once they've got it down, it comes down to just iterate and update players, right? Like to get the game done. Like
yeah,
small change. I'm sure they do plenty of stuff on the back end. They're probably developers working on those games are like, man, all I want to do is refactor this thing. All I want to do is refactor or whatever. But yeah, it seems like an interesting one.
yeah.
At least to do once. I think I would get bored of it quickly, but it would be an
Same.
interesting project to build out some
I don't
sort of
really know I don't even know the rules of most sports. I'm not really a sports guy, so I'd have to like be constantly looking up like on Wikipedia or whatever what are the
you
rules.
got to make up your own version, right? You got to make up like Rocket
I like
League,
that. I
right?
like that.
Make like a robot soccer, robot football, something like that
Yes.
could be fun. That could actually be fun. And then you have things exploding. And they had that. I remember in the arcade when I was a kid, it'd play like the football game with the robots, and you'd throw the bomb, and it would like have a timer, and it would explode if they held it for too long and stuff. And
Oh
Forget
my
what the hell that thing is
gosh.
called.
The closest thing I've come to creating a sports game is, have you ever seen a game called Windjammers?
I don't know if I have a
Dude,
move like that.
so fun. We used to have it in my office and we would play for hours. It's like tennis but with frisbees. But man, that game is so fun. Definitely check out Windjammers. But I
Oh,
tried to
okay. Yeah, I'm looking at it now.
dude, this game is so fun. So I tried. I at one point was recreating in Unity, and I kind of got bored of it. But now that I think about it, like that would be kind of a fun game to recreate. Pretty
That'd be kind of a neat
straightforward.
one. Reminds me a bit of the penguin game where you throw the dodgeball one. I forget what that one was called. It's
Yeah,
similar. You throw dodgeballs back and forth with a bunch of different game modes and stuff. So
yeah,
yeah, that could something like that way I think be more feasible for a YouTube video too. Like the one that you sent, the Windjammer or something like that, where you're throwing a thing back and forth and trying to
yeah.
score. Something like
There's
that.
lots of challenges in that you could overcome in a couple videos.
But I mean, I think the other one, a full-on football game, you could do it. That'd be tough. That'd be a long set of videos. There's just a lot of stuff, a lot of switching
Yeah,
of context and players, and then AI, and then NPC AI to control all of the other characters. Right? Like,
yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
seems like a very, very big project, but a
You,
fun
I
one
guess you
probably.
could split it up and like have different videos, like one video on AI where you don't even talk about anything else, and then
Good, but have you
context.
ever? I assume you've done some of those and seen that they just don't do well at all.
No, they don't. They don't at all.
Second you make a
Usually,
series, nobody wants to see number two. Right?
nobody wants to see number two. And I honestly, like when I think about the series that are out on YouTube, I don't even want to watch number two. I mean, there's a couple series where I'll watch, part two and threes, but inevitably you just get to the end and you're like, you don't follow through.
And that's a big piece of advice for the we haven't talked about YouTube stuff, but people that have
True.
YouTube channels, like I would highly recommend do a longer video and just put chapters in instead
Yeah.
of doing a series of things. Because YouTube likes longer videos. People
Yeah.
like watching longer videos. A longer video with that will people like dropping comments for their timestamp, which helps YouTube more. So
Yeah.
definitely over a bunch of short videos, the long one has always outperformed for me, like 10 times, not even close.
Yeah. Yeah. Longer videos for sure perform the best. And definitely streams too, because it's a long form. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's some meta detail about YouTube.
Yeah,
I
YouTube
don't
likes long stuff, I assume just because it monetizes stuff more, right? Like, longer things play, the longer they play ads, and that's what YouTube
yeah.
likes. The
On the
algorithm is
Yeah,
optimized
the
for.
algorithm loves that for sure.
It makes sense,
Uh,
though. I mean, if you code an algorithm to, optimize for money, that's what it's gonna do.
On the flip side of that, have you gotten into shorts? Not to dive into YouTube stuff so early, but have you tried the
No,
YouTube shorts yet?
no.
Hmm. Yeah, check that out. I have had very little success with them. I've already posted two, and according to everyone, shorts are amazing and they'll blow up your channel. But hasn't been the case for me. But you should check them out. I'm gonna try like two or three more, and if they don't really pan out, I don't know.
If it works, you gotta let me know. I've just heard all
I'll
kinds of
let you
different
know.
ideas and recommendations for things that were gonna be great, and, like, every time I do, I'm like, there's, like, a little tiny bump, and then it just disappears. Like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah,
You
yeah,
never
pretty
know.
much.
I figured I probably just do them wrong, though.
I think I'm doing mine wrong too. I must be.
Oh, man. The next thing was on the whole series thing, 'cause I think this kinda ties in. The next question was actually on an RPG tutorial series.
Mm.
I think it's kinda you get the same problem, like, I could do that, but it'd be better to just do, like, an RPG video. In fact, that's like a yeah. That's a tough one too.
Rockies has one, a series on RPG.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I wonder how that's done. Let me look. I'm
curious.
very curious.
Yeah, I think he has it on like the main channel page if you scroll down.
Oh,
Yeah, it's like it's weird. It's like I think about that a lot, and I feel like yeah, it's on the how to make an RPG in Unity. He's got a whole
oh, it's
series.
the one he did with Sebastian. I remember when this happened, when they did it live. That was
Yeah.
actually a really cool one.
Yeah, it looks really cool and it is cool. I think there's definitely value in seeing this and like I would say just like with courses, I think a lot of the value of series and courses is being able to just get your hands on something from start to finish. Because if
Mhm.
you've never finished a project, it really can be hard to get to end of job on something if you haven't been mentored or you haven't done it yourself. Of course, there are people who definitely are good at it. Like I think Thomas Brush has perfected the skill of finishing things. I mean, that guy is really good at it. Even if you watch his streams, like, dude, when you talk about like finishing something, you have to endlessly be compromising and endlessly like bringing in your scope and reining in your scope. It is a skill to finish things.
It is one of the
100%.
hardest things, just accepting things are going to be
Oh,
okay with where it's at now, and that you don't have to do the extra little thing and the extra little thing, and yeah.
yeah, absolutely. I'm a perfectionist, man, and like the one thing that always kills me is when I try to perfect something or I try to go back and refactor something and clean something up when I don't need to. And so, yeah, I think the value of something going back to Bracky's in his RPG and Unity course and any course really is like being able to feel what it feels like to get to the end of something. If you follow along, and I definitely recommend you follow along if you're watching tutorials, getting to end of job is so valuable to just do and just let your brain build the neuron connections to feel what that's like. But man, finishing something, that is a skill. And I think that really, if there's anything any game developer, aspiring game developer should work on, it's learning how to finish things. Truly. That's why I suggest making small games. Recreate Snake, recreate Tic-Tac-Toe, Battleship, get it done, get it out of your face. You know what I mean? Like make a project, do all the mechanics you need to do, and then finish it and put it aside. That is a super valuable skill. For
Totally
sure.
agree. Yeah, I think getting it just done and out.
Yeah.
Like, and it also just kind of like checks off that box of like I've made games.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yes, I have made games. I didn't play around to make games. I didn't make a AAA game yet, but made games, right? Finished them and got them done.
Someone in my chat asked me to say "booyah" if I'm here. Booyah! I see the chat. I got it in front of me, so I'm not ignoring it. I am reading it. It's just hard to talk and read.
There's somebody in my chat had asked about what we think about visual scripting.
Okay,
Either
that's a great
visual
question.
with Bolt or Blueprints and Unreal. I know my thoughts on it. I'm curious what you
Yeah.
think, and I'll share.
So, at a high level, at a high level, visual scripting and coding are the same thing. You're trying to apply logic to solve the problems you have. These days, I tend to try to lean away from doing anything bespoke or proprietary. I try to find assets and plugins and things. I see myself more as like a coordinator. You know, um, there's tools out there and there's separate tools. I just want to integrate them together and get to my finished project, which is a finished game. Now, that being said, you're always going to have to apply some proprietary logic. There's always going to be something that makes your game unique, and you're going to have to either write code or use visual scripting to achieve that. So I'm not trying to say that you can just create a game by putting all these things together. You're definitely going to need your own stuff. So when it comes to writing your own logic, creating your own custom logic, you can choose either visual scripting or coding. I'm way more comfortable with coding, so I would always opt for coding. But I do respect that visual scripting is lowers the barrier to entry for many people, and I think that's great. So if you want to use visual scripting, I think it's good to go. Obviously, there's performance concerns you need to consider. Is the overhead going to be too much for your particular game? An example would be like if you're making a City Skylines game, that is a very computationally heavy game. Visual scripting might be too much overhead for something like that. If you're creating a simple platformer, like if you're trying to create like something like any platformer, I'm trying to think of the name of this game.
I would
Ori and
say
the
if you're at the point where you're not sure of the difference, it's probably a game that the scope isn't going to matter, right?
Sure, exactly.
Right.
If you're
'Cause
making
if you're
yeah,
not sure of the difference really on them, you shouldn't be building City Skylines. Right? Like you should
that's
you should
fair.
you
That's
should cut your
fair.
scope down until you've got some experience with all of them. I think just 'cause
Yeah.
it's yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think you should have experience with both. Try to learn some coding. You're gonna have to learn logic anyway. So coding is just applying logic. They're both the same thing. You are applying logic to solve your problems. One of them just happens that you type it into an editor, and the computer processes what you type. The other one is you use little thingies and you plug them all together, and then the computer does the same thing at the end of the day. It just tries to understand what you're telling it, and it does something. So I think visual scripting, more power to you. Another thing I will say about visual scripting, though, in favor of visual scripting, is there are isolated incidents where it's very valuable. For example, let's say I'm making a project and I want to code the whole thing. Sure, I code the whole thing up, but maybe I want to design. Maybe my game is very boss intensive. I want to have a lot of bosses, mini bosses, and I want them to have very unique, encounters. Maybe some, have like an AOE effect. Maybe some of them, like you have to like jump to this particular square at a certain time, whatever. Visual scripting is a great way to empower creatives, people. Maybe I'm not good at designing boss encounters. I can probably tell you I'm probably not good at designing boss encounters. I want to find someone who is good at designing boss encounters, and I want to be like, hey, grab my project off of GitHub, and if you go in there, I'm using visual scripting for all the boss encounters. Have at it. You're not a coder, but you can use visual scripting. Go for it. Go to town. Make all the boss encounters you want. I think that's a place where visual scripting really shines in being able to create unique experiences, and allowing someone who's more creative than me to do that, whereas I'm a good coder,
Yeah, totally. That's exactly where I like to use it too, just for that kind of stuff where I want to give the game designers essentially the ability to control the game without expecting them to understand or write code. Because one of the options, the easiest way to do that is to go like, here, you just write in your code here in this script. And I've done that before, like where they're like, here are the things you can write. Here's the spot you can write them in, and it'll work. Right? It kind of works a little bit. There's a lot of back and forth. It's very slow. It does not scale at all, right? Like if you need to do it
Right.
like as a one-off because you've got one tutorial or one boss fight in your game, fine. Don't build out a whole scripting system for the one boss fight if that's the whole thing. But if
Tutorial. That's a
if
good
you're
one.
doing a
That's
whole,
a really good one. It's a
yeah.
good example.
But if you're doing a lot of them, yeah, a scripting system, some sort, either visual scripting or some other type of system where the designers can use your in editor tooling that you've built. It could just be like a data structure and a custom editor that does the script, or a node based tool, or whatever it is you want to do. You definitely want to do something like that though, so that they can customize things and make things without you having to go in and change things. The last thing you want to do is be like, okay, we want this boss to change. Instead of enraging at 15%, he's going to enrage at 10%. He's going to do 20% more damage. Go
Yeah.
write the code for that. Like, no, none of that. Like, or he's going to spawn 10 of these guys when he gets to 20%. Like, so you
Yeah.
need to go change it now so that he does that at 20%. Like, no, that should all be something that designers can go in there and customize and script either with some visual scripting like a bolt or some other type of system. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of using it for like your whole game either. I know some games do it and some games can be successful with it. I guarantee that the programmers on those teams are just like mother like because I
Yeah.
mean what happens when you give designers the ability to completely control things with that stuff is like they're going to make mistakes accidentally because it's not going to be obvious or easy, and they're going to accidentally break things, kill performance and stuff, and you have to be constantly in there like
Yeah.
fixing it and retweaking every time they make a change, right? So it can get really frustrating. And I'm just not a fan. I find it really a lot harder to follow the flow personally. That could just be my
Absolutely.
brain too, though.
Well, that, and just speaking back on workflows, like if you're trying to solve a problem where you really do need to write code and you offer visual scripting, the problem there is now you have all these assets, whereas normally they'd just be a bunch of text files, class files and what have you, which are very easily tracked in source control and very easily managed. Whenever you have merge conflicts and things like that, it's just a text file. You just say, which line do I want? When you have this really heavy asset that represents the logic of your core game, that is I can tell you that is a nightmare to manage when you're working on a team.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's very easy. I look at it like user input too. Like I think Elon Musk was someone who said that, like, view all user input as error, like as something that's going to mess up your program.
You
I don't.
always assume it's invalid and it's trying to hack
Yes.
it.
Yes, exactly. So when you talk about visual scripting, I view that as actually user input. That is, whereas coding, you're like you're working on like the very essence of the game. I don't know how else to say it, but yeah, when you have visual scripting, you have these little assets that represent what your game is, and you can just run into so much trouble. I would never recommend making your core game, with visual scripting, unless you just don't know code and you have a great idea. Like, I'm not saying you can't be successful. I wouldn't recommend it. That's all.
Yeah, I'd say the same. I'd try to just learn the code though. If you don't know the code, like try starting simpler and do something smaller with the code, and hopefully that'll kind of kick in and you'll be able to figure it out. I actually came across a question that I thought was an interesting one for you. So I want to pop it up. And it was, what was the best way to transition into game development as a software developer? Now, I know you're in software development, and I don't think you intended to just do like a full switch over or anything, but I'm sure you've seen people make the switch, and I've switched back and forth myself a bunch of times and known a lot of people. So I'm curious, what would you recommend if like one of your coworkers decided they wanted to be a game developer? So like, hey Charles, I think I want to be a game dev instead of what we're doing here. Like maybe like over the next 2 years or whatever, I want to do a switch into being a game developer. What would you tell them to do?
Yeah. Well, a couple things. Right off the bat, I would say anything you use at work or apply at work in terms of design patterns and tools, don't try to apply them to game development. There's a case for maybe some of them, but don't just try to blindly say, "Oh, I use MVC every day at work. I'm going to use MVC in my game." Try, to some extent, forget everything you learned about not coding, but just how you code. Like, consider whatever it is you work, because obviously, like, there's if you're not in game development, there's many types of things you could be specialized in, like app development or web app development, or maybe you're good at writing algorithms. Just leave all that on the table. You're a coder, fine, you're gonna have to write some code, but I would say really, depending on what you're going to be doing in game development, just be prepared for a lot of what you do to not necessarily be about the code. I guess I'm speaking more for indie game developers because they really have to wear a lot of hats. But essentially, yeah, pretty much, right? Essentially, you're going to be working a lot with way more visual elements than you're probably used to working with. Like, even if you're like a mobile app guy and you're a girl and you're used to doing like a lot of UX, a lot of that does not apply to game development.
And you're not usually, in those cases, at least when I was doing them, you're not really doing them like a drag and drop editor type style, which is very much how Unity feels, right? And like in those cases, you usually want to avoid those because they tend to be the worst way to do things. At least when I was doing them, right?
WYSIWYGs, yeah.
And it's totally the opposite in Unity. So.
Yeah. Yeah. So essentially, I would just say, like, go into it with an open mind. Don't try to shoehorn anything that you currently know into game development. And just be prepared to understand more visual, abstract things, because my day to day, everything that I develop is fairly straightforward. There are technical challenges, but essentially what I deal with on a daily basis and what most people deal with are business rules. There are certain, like, you present a form to your user, let's say, and there are certain rules, validation rules, that you have to make sure that you respect. And then maybe you have to submit it and it sends off an API call. And then you have to be concerned about security of that API call. Like, is it encrypted at rest and motion? How is the data structure going to be? How's the data going to be stored on the back end? Those are all very like enterprise software type problems you have to solve. The problems you have to solve as a game developer are, okay, where can I optimize to get some more FPS? How do I provide a better experience for the player? My animation doesn't respond when and how I expect it to. So how do I tweak that so that it feels better for the player? Like, a lot of the things you're going to be doing, and don't get me wrong, there's definitely a lot of low level stuff. There's security concerns. There's algorithms that you can apply, data structures that you can apply. But really, what provides the most value to your player generally tends to be at a higher level. The visual things, how does it feel when they like bump into a wall? Let me tune that. It's a lot of tuning and things like that. Whereas with regular software, and I'm speaking from a lot of experience here, it really is straightforward. Like, there are a set of rules that need to be followed. Your code needs to adhere to those rules, and that's it. You just save it and call it a day.
Yeah, that's been kind of my experience too. Like with non-game software, it's very much about just understanding your framework. right? Like if you
Uh-huh.
understand the framework and the project architecture, um, you should be okay to add in features. A lot of time, not some places it's going to be a mess no matter what, but a lot of times things are well done. You can kind of figure out where stuff should go and how to put it in. But yeah, the problems you're solving are so very different. Like I think of like when I've taken time to like stop doing game development and go work in non-game jobs, like a lot of the time, day one, like you can just go in and start fixing things, like because
Yeah, yeah.
it's easy enough. Like there's so things are compartmentalized enough that it's easy enough to go in and fix low-hanging fruit
Hmm.
without breaking things, which I'd say is much less likely in a game. It's a lot harder to wrap your head around like how things are going to work because there's not
Yeah.
standard framework for exactly how everything is laid out for a project. And I think that part of that is just games vary a lot. Web pages and apps tend to be relatively similar. They just have different data.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, yeah.
Do the same
Yeah,
thing.
in the business world, it's like, hey, on this particular form, if they don't enter their last name and you submit it, it actually lets you submit. Can you fix that? Sure. In a game, it's like after the fourth level, we've seen that if the user has a certain item in their pack, that sometimes the boss will like jump up in health and heal itself when it's not supposed to. But we're not really sure. Can you see if you can figure that out? It's like, what? How do I even recreate that?
Only happens on AMD CPUs though.
Oh yeah, 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 exactly.
Like, what the hell? Yeah, the other thing I'd say, which I think was really good advice for me, is that people tend to jump in and just start writing code and start over complicating things and trying to write code for things that are already solved problems. Like in the web world, you don't go in and write code to handle, 10,000 simultaneous connections, right? That stuff already exists for you. You don't write the
Yeah,
stuff to go, to convert everything into HTML on the client that exists. But when people jump over to Unity, they don't know the things that exist, and sometimes they will start trying to write them. Like they'll try to write their own animation system or write their own
yeah.
animation
Physics.
controller because they don't know write their own physics. Like
Yeah,
there are physics components built in. You just enable them.
yeah,
Like so,
yeah,
a lot of the things people will try to do. They get distracted by trying to build in functionality they think they need instead of their game. So, say if you want to make the jump from software to game dev, well, there's a couple things. Start solving some maybe software problems in the engine too. A lot of
yeah,
times, like your work will have problems that maybe a visual engine or a visual representation would actually be beneficial. Not on a huge project, but like little small apps or type of things can be cool. Just as a learning experience too. And then yeah, build games. Just start building a lot of little things, and then start applying after that. Once you've got a couple things in your portfolio, and people were asking in the the forum here, there were quite a few about like how to build a portfolio or how to like get a portfolio together. So that was something worth just talking about really quickly. I mean, I've talked about it a lot. My general recommendation, I'll give it real quick and see what you say. But I
yeah,
think like in general, my recommendation is if you want to get into the industry and you don't already have any experience, you don't have anything publicly available that people can see, um, build one little game that people can actually see and play and put it up online. Polish it up really well, make it small so that you can finish it and that they can finish playing it in 30 seconds or something. And push that. I think that doing something like that in a well done form where it's just a nice clean page that says like, hey, this is me, this is my game, real quick, like, 2 sentence description of what the game is. Hopefully you don't have to describe the controls or anything. People can just get in there and play it. That alone is like probably the biggest thing that you can do to get through the hiring process, really. Like, every time I see a stack of resumes, I always wanna see portfolios first, and everybody I know does too. HR people probably don't not because they don't care about that stuff, but, the actual developers looking at the stuff that see the stack of things, like, that's what we generally like to look at. Um, what do you recommend for somebody who's, like, trying to get in, wants to build up a portfolio of something that they can show off, like, doesn't have any professional experience? What would you say?
yeah. I mean, I'm going back to my previous advice, which is just try to create, a couple little one-off things that are simple and get to end of job. I can say, I mean, I do hiring, but obviously for, my industry, which is not game development, but I think it applies as well. I do look at portfolios too, and portfolios can come in many shapes and forms. It could be someone's website. It could be someone's GitHub page. I've looked at a resume with the person's GitHub link, looked at the GitHub link and thought, okay, active. He's developing stuff, and I can see that, this person does work. He or she does work. Or it could be a really nice website, or it could be an itch.io page, perhaps. There's definitely many ways to approach it. I will say that the main purpose of a portfolio is to demonstrate that you can work on something and you have worked on something and have finished something. So I know that for me, when I'm doing interviews, I'm always asking about what they've worked on. Like, one of the questions I ask right off the bat is, can you just tell me about something you're working on now? What is that? What are you doing? And then I'll always try to key off of that. Oh, that's interesting. It sounds like, was it challenging to do this thing here? Oh, you wrote an API. What framework did you use? I'm just trying to hear you say, oh yeah, no, you know what? I was in between two frameworks. I did a little research and I really like this one. And we're actually using React for the front end. And I had some trouble with it, but I figured it out. I'm looking for you to like talk and with passion and also with understanding. I can tell when someone doesn't really, didn't really contribute to a project or doesn't know. Like, I've had people who maybe on their portfolio is like their end of term project, and I'll ask them, oh, so what front end framework did you use? I wasn't really doing the front end stuff. I did more of the back end. Okay, well, what back end stuff? Were you doing the database? No, I just fixed some bugs. So it's like, okay, but what did you really do? Like, if the person can't talk about what they've worked on, then that doesn't really, as a hiring person, that doesn't really help me feel very confident that they can join my team and start pulling code tomorrow.
Yeah, that's why those school projects they're just not enough for me. Like that, like I see it and I'm like it just they're cool and I think they're worth doing and stuff. But
For sure.
like for me personally, I have the same issue where like I don't know if like one person on this project did the entire thing and everybody else just slacked off and didn't do anything, or and that was you or that was somebody else, or like it can be really really difficult to know but if they're doing something on their own and they're actually into it, like that's gonna set them aside, right? Like they're just like, oh yeah, like yeah, I did the school project, but I'm also working on this other thing because I thought it was fun and interesting and wanted to build it. Like that is what's gonna set you aside, right? And being able to talk about that thing. I go, oh, okay,
Yeah.
person's actually like really into this stuff. And a lot of the time, the hiring person there is going to be like a big tech nerd that's really into this stuff. It's very rare that you're getting hired by somebody who's less into the thing than you are, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
if you're into it and hyped up, like I've got I'm gonna not share any details on this, but I've got a friend who's recently hiring somebody um, with no experience at all, and it's 100% driven by the person's motivation and their like self drive to go out and learn and build things, and hiring them at like professional software developer salaries with tons of potential, and this teenager, right? Like it's just, and it's all about the just being driven and working on the projects on those. This is a kid that's constantly doing these kinds of things with these frameworks. It's a web related thing. But it it's all just constant being into it and working on projects and sharing that stuff, I guess. I don't know. I feel like I'm going down a rabbit hole of like trying not
No,
to
but
share any secret info or anything. But yeah, it's a
yeah. And you know what? It's the same sort of thing applies to like your networking. Like, if I get a guy in front of me and I'm in a hiring situation and like I can hear the passion in his voice, I'm like, yes, I want to bring this guy on board, or a girl. The same applies when you are participating in the community. For me, I remember when I first met Jason Story. Some of you may know him. He's all around, so everyone pretty much knows him. But he came onto the Discord server, and he was just constantly talking, commenting, sharing advice, asking questions, sharing what he was working on. And I was like, man, this guy is really, really passionate about what he does, and he's demonstrating that he's really, really intelligent. I didn't know at the time that he was even way more smarter than I thought he was, but that. Yeah, that led me to DM him and like, hey, let's chat, and now here we are today. So it's essentially that. It's like, if you do like game development or certain parts of game development, lean into those things, share those with others. Don't be afraid to share those with others. And then also take interest in what other people are doing too. And I think that demonstration across the board, whether you're literally in the hiring room or you're like looking for a job and just trying to get your foot in the door, that is what people look for, I think, across the board for sure.
Yeah, I think you're right. Certainly the thing sets them aside.
Yeah.
There was one more thing on here I at least wanted to check on or see your thoughts on
Mhm.
the tooling stuff and the node stuff, 'cause there was a question on just building node-based tools, and we talked a little bit about visual scripting and tooling stuff, so I thought it was kinda relevant. Have you done much with the Canvas system lately in Unity and building tools out of that?
No, I haven't. Is that the new thing where it's like UXML,
Yeah, so
Unity?
there's 2 parts, right? There's the UXML stuff, there's the style sheet stuff, and so there's like an in-game UI version of it. There's like and then there's the editor version of it, and then in the editor you can set up these like canvases with nodes and do the drag and drop stuff. So that's kind of one of the newer things that's in there. I don't know how related it is to the UXML stuff though. I don't know how tightly coupled it is to the whole UI change.
I haven't played with that. I mean, the only Node stuff I've played with are going to be like in Blender. I've done the Node shaders, and like I know the visual engine stuff uses nodes. I think they're really cool. I think that just like with visual scripting, um, I think that it's a very nice and unique way to sort of be able to visualize the flow of what you're trying to create. I think it makes a lot of sense. I think there are certain scenarios where it makes a lot of sense. Although I haven't played with the Canvas stuff.
Oh, okay. I was just curious. I've played with it a bit. I've used it a couple times, but haven't ever come
Okay.
up with like a really good video tutorial where it made a lot of sense to
So
do.
I
So
just go. Is it Node Canvas or is it something else? Because this looks like an asset on the asset store. What I have open here.
no, it's something else. I'll dig it up and show you later.
Cool.
I need to pull it up so I know what I'm talking about and I'm saying the right things. So I feel like I'm going to say all the wrong words if I start trying to just dive into it and stuff.
No worries.
So there were a couple channels too that got submitted. So
Okay.
I figured maybe we could start looking through some of those. There were it looks like 9
So these are people
shared.
who are trying to start a Unity like tutorial channels.
Yeah, there's supposed to be people that were you know, have a Unity channel and they wanted to share it. They wanted to share it, kind of get I wanted to give people some feedback, see what their channels were like, and see, what we can share with other people. So
Oh, okay.
I want to give you
Well,
the link real quick. You can
okay.
take a peek, and then we can just quickly preview them, just to make sure there's nothing like, totally inappropriate that shows up. I don't expect there would be, but you never know. So just
By the way, someone in my chat, AC Dev, mentioned that it's called UI Builder. I got it open here, so I'll
oh,
take a look into that.
UI build. Okay, yeah, there was like a UI toolkit and a UI
Ooh.
builder thing.
I like it. I like what I'm seeing so far, and I see where there's like an X, it looks like a UXML editor and like the style sheet stuff. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I definitely got to look into that and maybe make a video.
Yeah, I think
Someone,
it'd definitely be an interesting one. I just really struggle with like what the video is, other than like here's how you use this thing. But I always feel like I need context. I need like an example.
yeah, real quickly as well. Someone asked, play once asked if this restream means that we're not live. No, we are live, so we can answer questions that come through the chat as well.
Yeah, it just means that it's going out to multiple channels, and the restream is pretty freaking cool, man. Just lets you go through and do like solve so many problems that I used to have with streaming. I want to start streaming all the time now.
Yeah, I've been meaning to get back into it. I
All
have a
right,
couple of
so
people that I owe a stream with.
take a look.
Okay, cool. So all right. So we're just gonna pick one randomly, or do you have one to look at, or do you want me to click a particular link?
I figured I'd just kick it off with the first one right at the
All right.
top. Just take a look at it. I was just giving it a quick preview, and I figured you'd check it out real quick.
Cybercoder.
Cybercoder, yes. This one's just at here. I'm going to paste the links just
Huh.
into chat.
Interesting. I think the first feedback on Cybercoder is I see special channels, Jason Wyman, Brackies, Danny, but Missing a channel.
Yeah.
Missing a channel there. No, it looks good. Let me I guess pull up a video. There's a preferred video they want us to look at too, huh?
Yeah, so I'm taking a peek right now and making sure somehow my alarm bell's not oh, it's on personalized. That's weird. I don't know why it didn't go to on. Alright, so I was already subscribed, so good to go. So there's like a video on a Discord bot and a couple other things, right? So let me is there a way I can share screen in here? Let me see if I can share screen with
That'd be
you
nice. Yeah, that'd be nice.
so people can see what I'm actually looking at. Is there I think play local video, invite guests, share screen. There oh wait, application window, Chrome tab. Alright, here's Chrome tab. Where's the cybercoder share? Bam. Alright, now can I put that on the screen as a third one?
What? Look at that.
Wow, that's cool. So here it'll show some infos and stuff too. Look at that. All right, so we got a Discord bot, and then
Wow.
5 things you must know before you start coding.
Okay.
Cool. How to host Minecraft vanilla server, 100 sub giveaway, nice. And then how to make tycoon game. Okay, so I mean the first thing, I mean that stands out to me is that it's very kind of all over the place on just the topics.
That's
So
fair.
there's kind of a big jump, which is not necessarily a bad thing or anything, but it's if we're actually growing the channel, like staying really focused, I think makes a big difference. I could be wrong. It could be that having a variety of stuff is
I
better. But
agree. Staying focused. I mean, going from making a tycoon game for beginners to Discord bot, I think that's a pretty big jump. If because one thing you have to think about as a YouTuber in general is when people subscribe to your channel, they're subscribing with an expectation. So if I came on to create a Discord bot video and I was like, I am dying to create a Discord bot. I love Discord and I have so many ideas. I come to this video, I'm like, okay, I'm going to subscribe to Cybercoder. This is great. Then I'm like, I finished the video and you put out your next video and it's like, how to do this in Unity or whatever it might be. Or even if I look at the rest of your videos, I'm like, oh, okay, my bad. This guy doesn't actually focus on Discord bots. So my subscribe is null and void. I'm going to unsubscribe or worse. This is actually worse. I will stay subscribed, but I won't continue to click on your videos as you post them.
because they're not relevant.
Yeah, they're not relevant to this person who clicked on your first video and thought, oh, a guy who makes Discord bots, great. If he stays or she stays subscribed to you and doesn't view your additional videos, that's actually a bad indicator to the algorithm that your subscribers aren't happy with what you're doing. You want that ratio. You want as many subscribers as possible to be clicking and viewing your videos.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think for just actionable advice, like just going through and looking at, we were talked a lot about this breaking things into parts. I think that if you took all of these tycoon game videos, cut them into one video with chapters, and just made one longer video, it would be, what are we looking at? Maybe
A little
half
over an
an
hour.
hour, an hour and a half, or even
Something
better,
like
to be honest, is just go through and reshoot that as one long 2-hour video. Because the second time through, it's just going to be better. Right? It'll be an improvement over the first one, and it'll be kind of planned out that way. And you'll know all of the problems that you ran across in the number 2 and number 3 and all that. So if you had comments of things that people got confused about or stuck on, or things that you might have skipped over or missed, you can redo that whole thing. And I mean, I don't know how long it took to do that series, but if you've already done the game, you've already recorded the videos, my guess is that within like a week, probably do a full video that's 2 or 3 hours long on how to make a tycoon game for beginners. That's a full long thing, and YouTube will promote that dramatically better than it's going to promote this a little series or a bunch of smaller videos. It won't happen immediately. It'll probably start off relatively slow, but it will pick up over time. I've seen that for all of my tutorial videos. The long ones where you go like beginner to end, way better than anything else. So, all right, I think that was kind of all I got on that one. I want to jump over to some more because we had a lot of channel suggestions. So the next one said it wasn't their channel, so I'll skip it just because I want to make sure that people actually want their stuff talked about. I would feel weird if I was talking about somebody's that didn't want it.
Yeah.
So I'll go on to number 3? which is Redefine Game Dev. I'm gonna just paste it in
Ooh,
here.
Redefine Game Dev. I kind of like I like the logo.
Yeah, I like the video that shows up, the one that you shared with the NASA stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, it looks cool. I don't wanna turn audio on because YouTube might freak out, but, take a look at the actual channel. 670 subscribers. Is it worth starting game dev in 2021? Good question.
Nice. Good
I
question.
like that I like that it's a question one that pops right up. Nice. Like, as the thing here to get people kind of intrigued. Let's see what we got here for videos, or let's go to the main channel first. Asset Flip Saga.
I'm looking at I made a Mars Lander game and then crashed on the planet. I like the editing. The editing is pretty good. It feels very YouTubey. It feels very like lots of cuts and swipes, and it seems engaging. Obviously, I can't watch it here now.
Right.
So I would say just kind of at surface level, I think your cuts look good. I see that it only has 86 views. So, um, you know,
Subscribe and thumbs up.
yeah, nice. Same here.
And
Um, yeah, it's maybe work on your titles a little bit, maybe pump more keywords in. I'm looking at your description. There's on this video, there's nothing in here that says there's really nothing. The only time you say game is I made a Mars Lander game, and then the description says find out how I created my Mars Lander game, right? So if you're trying to communicate to the the YouTube algorithm that you are making game development videos for game developers in Unity or whatever your engine, I think you should lean into making that more. I know it sucks, like doing the whole, not necessarily clickbaity, but you really do have to think about how you frame your videos and frame them in a way that if I'm someone who wants to see this, I will know that I want to see this. Like a good example on this, I made a Mars Lander game is you might want to put the word devlog in there because there are people, I mean, myself included, I love watching devlogs. I would, if I see a devlog come up, I will just click it and watch it. I don't have to get any value out of it. I just enjoy seeing people's process. So just dropping the word devlog in your title and as a tag might actually help you out on there. So that's my advice so far.
Yeah. I think I was just looking through tags in general, and it does seem that they're pretty low. One of the things I'd recommend to everybody that's doing a YouTube channel is get some of the analytics tools, either like vidIQ or TubeBuddy or one of them, so you can
Yeah.
see what it's recommending for tags, because there will be keywords and things that you probably want to put in there that it recommends, and it will actually give you like scores on your video. So like if I look at the Among Us ones, right? Still see this, right? Like pull up the how to create Among Us, and you just look down on the right hand side. It will like, I mean, it rates this thing at a 50 out of 100. So I mean,
Yeah.
according to this tool alone, it thinks that you can do somewhere. Or actually, not a lot on this one, just more tags and stuff. But in general, what you'll see is like you get a lot of just kind of personalized feedback on what types of things you can do to kind of make them more accessible or more visible to people. I think again, just like on the last one though, the biggest thing I would do is change this Among Us. Like these have a good number of views. If this was one video, like make a version 2 that's how to make Among Us in one shot, it will
Mhm.
probably get quite a few more views over time. And just what I see with all of my beginner videos and all of my longer tutorial videos, it's like 10 times the views on a single video versus the total on a series. Series just don't do well. YouTube just hates them, I guess. Oh wait, you can't see it. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong screen too. I had the wrong tab showing up. But whatever. I guess close enough. All right. So,
On the video page I have open, both of our live streams are like the top of the recommended.
oh,
It's pretty funny. Yeah. All
all right.
right. So I think keep on doing what you're doing there. I think you could probably structure your titles and descriptions a little bit better so you just can communicate to the algorithm what you're trying to do here. And yeah, I think Jason's advice is advice that I'm taking now because I had never really heard that before. Like I have like a couple series that I could literally just cut into one video or redo, like you said, and then be like 100 times better. I might have to do that.
I totally. I think that's the way to do it. Like just reshooting it just makes it better because it's relative. I find it's relatively easy to reshoot something that you've already done. Like if you've already made the video,
Yeah, I
put it
can
out there,
imagine.
and you've seen the problems. Like you end up with a better version of it. That's how I feel like about my Unity for Beginners tutorial, the Angry Birds one. I did one, and then found what I really did. The best part about it was going through and looking at the analytics data. You can see in the video where people drop off. So
Mhm.
go through and find all of the spots where people dropped off, and I realized that at each one of those spots, there was like a hard change into something that people were getting stuck on. Like they either were having a hard time getting Visual Studio open was one of them. Like they couldn't get their code editor working, or there was like a bug that was specific to different types of system, a rendering order issue that showed up on some systems, not on others. And all of those were like the spike points when people would drop off. Version 2 fixed all those up, fixed the problems. Obviously, I had
Nice.
new problems, but I did share the link real quick for anybody that wants to submit their channel one more time in the chat. So if you have one you wanted to do, just make sure that you've submitted it in there, and we'll jump through them. So the next one was, let's see, did you already pull up the next one?
It was a Unity Game Dev,
Let's
or did I
see.
skip? Because one of them was Code Monkey, and I
Yeah,
don't
one of
think
them is Code Monkey, and I don't
we all
think
know
that
Code
wasn't from
Monkey.
him though.
Yeah,
And then the other one was not a YouTube channel, so I can't share it yet. Let's see. Let's go on to the next one. So I'm looking at row 7 here. Unity Game Dev. That's the
yeah.
one you said.
That's what I got. Yeah,
Okay, cool. Okay,
I like that.
right now. Yeah.
I like.
Anybody that hasn't submitted them, if you want, just put it in the link. It's the only way for us to really find them.
Yeah,
We got a sheet up right now. So here we go. Why choose Unity?
I like that title. Kind of
Yeah,
aggressive.
it is. I mean, one of my most popular videos is why I picked Unity versus Unreal. I mean, it's like the third most popular video, and it just constantly gets views.
Yeah,
I think it's a question people want to know, like, why would you pick what when you're picking the engine, which one should you pick and why? So supported devices, good reasons. Game devices, programming language, great reason. Optimization, yeah. Okay, so I mean, the video here seems good. I don't know that the all caps will help at all. In fact, it might deter things from that. In fact, I would probably rephrase this as a question. Like, why should you choose Unity? Or why is Unity the best choice for you? Like when you're making these titles, like as bad as it sounds, like you want them to be somewhat intriguing or clickbaity so that people when they're reading them, they're curious what it is. Like you don't want them to be like totally lost and like make them think it's something else. We want them to be curious what the thing's about and like if they should watch it or why they should watch it. We want them to go click on it. So I like questions. Question marks in video titles are one of my favorites. I don't know how you feel
yeah,
about this. Oh, I just realized I'm not sharing the screen though. So here it is. Here's the screen and the video showing of the Unity Game Dev channel. So here's the video. I'm gonna go back through the spot. So he's got call outs on the different chapters for supported devices, which I like. I like having little call outs like these and the chapters. It just makes it so easy to bounce around. Yeah, I would definitely try changing up the title, make it a little bit more intriguing, and I want to go through the actual channel. Did you already take a peek through the whole channel?
I took a look through it, and yeah, it looks like they're on the right track. I think they just need to keep producing content, maybe work on different titles to experiment with things that might be more interesting for folks to click on. I mean, really, that's what you want, people to click on your videos. And then secondarily, once they click on your video, you want to make sure that it lines up with their expectations. So, there's a lot of things to work on. I see you've only got, I don't know how, like 4 rows of videos. So you've got a handful of videos. I think at this stage in your YouTube career with 145 subs, just keep producing. Try to hone in on your topics and experiment with different titles and things like that, and you'll find your voice. I would say I don't see that you've found your voice quite yet, but I think if you just keep going, you'll eventually get there. And yeah,
Yeah, and there's definitely a variety of stuff here. To try to figure out, and I wouldn't worry about it being too fast. Like, to be honest, like I don't even remember when I got to 100 subscribers. Like,
no, me
it
neither.
takes a while. Like, it took a long time before stuff started actually growing. Like, it's not a fast process. But I like that there's definitely a lot of variety here. And you just want to get into probably more detail on some specific things. And the other thing I found is like short videos like this don't do anything. Like Maybe for some people they do. Like I know there are YouTubers out there who have like millions of subscribers. They put out a 1 minute video and it gets 10 million views. Anytime I put out a video that's too short to monetize, YouTube doesn't give a crap about it. If it's under
Yeah.
8 minutes, YouTube will pretty much ignore it. Won't show it at all. I don't know if you run into the same problem.
Yeah, no.
Remember, that algorithm is developed for optimizing ad revenue, and if monetization's off, you're not the optimal thing. And if you're too short for monetization, you're not optimal either. So you want to get them a little bit longer, maybe 10, 12 minutes at least. But obviously not just rambling and ranting too. You got to go into important stuff. All right.
Yeah.
So without me rambling and ranting, I'm going to jump into otherwise I'm going to keep going forever. All right. So the next one up.
Jirushi.
Okay. Very small channel, it looks like so far. Let me just pull it up and see what we got here. Oh, cool. I like the
make sure you drag it onto
your
other screen there. There you go.
Just switching it up, and let me make sure it's showing there.
Oh wow, this is trippy. I'm seeing myself. Jirushi's actually streaming.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. So, and I guess streaming what we're streaming. So I'd see myself and you. It's pretty funny.
So this was the first video. The recommended one seems like some really cool stuff.
5+ Unity features you totally missed. Good title. Good title. I like that.
It is a very good title. I would like to see just chapters in here for the different things. I think that would be good. The reason for that too, one like aside from like it being helpful to have chapters because people can skip around. The other nice thing, I think it increases retention because people like bounce back to previous spots, but it also gives you more like valid keywords in your description, right? It's more things to search for. People are searching for the things that you happen to be talking about, then they're in your description and it makes sense. And I'm just a big fan of chapters now. I think that it's a good thing to do.
Yeah, I think chapters are great, and it's like you just have to lean into the features that YouTube has, because if you do, then the prevailing thought is that you will be favored. Of course, who knows? No one really knows how the algorithm works, but yeah, I mean, you are providing value to your users by providing chapters anyway, so that's good to do.
Yeah, and Google will even show your stuff, like in Google search results, it'll show the chapters there. Yeah, like in the little header thing. So it probably just increases the likelihood that Google will show you in the video search results too. So I just recommend them. Like,
and it's potential that you could do some SEO on those chapters too. Like if someone searches something and maybe asks a question, maybe your chapter marker will come up as a result.
And that's very much the biggest thing. Oh, make sure we're subscribed.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and then whoops, no, I clicked through to the wrong channel. I clicked through and subscribed to the music channel. The wrong button. Gotta learn how to use YouTube. All right, so let's see other stuff on the channel. Jamming for Wowie Jams free, okay. And okay, so it's very started in just going through and making a game jam. Check that stuff out later. So yeah, I just keep at it. I don't have a whole lot of feedback since it's pretty new, but other than dropping the chapters for sure. All right, let's see what else we got.
Oh wait, just in case anyone's curious, yes, this is live, so we are here. So we're checking your chats, and thank you, Cybercoder, for adding my channel to your feature bar.
Oh, sweet. Thanks. Yeah, I'm trying to watch chats too, but I can't watch chat and talk and watch screens. I struggle to make sure I don't mess everything all up. All right, so this one looks interesting. Let's see. Let me drop it over here and paste it in. Onto Yusuf's channel.
Adding gems to my game. Cool. I like it.
I like it. It's got chapters already. Ahead, the editing looks cool. I like how it kind of split up there.
Game looks good too.
Yeah.
Devlog. All right. I think you should add devlog to the title there, adding gems to my game, unless it's not a devlog. But yeah, I will say there's something to be said about short titles. YouTube evidently doesn't like short titles either. So maybe adding gems to and this is a good opportunity to use keywords like adding gems to my Unity game, adding gems to the game I created in Unity or something like that is a good opportunity. But
Yeah, or adding gems like some other popular game that people search for to my game.
Yes. Yeah.
Or, like, getting
Like,
in some other things that people would search for that would be interested in games, obviously.
yeah. Like adding Mario 64 style gems to my, I don't know what the gems are, but you know what I mean. Yeah, like picking a game that you're pulling inspiration from for your gems here.
Yeah, no, this is, I'm a big fan of the editing. I don't have the audio on, but I'm a big fan of the editing, and now I'm gonna have to get on my kids for not making videos that are this is I'm very impressed.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is good stuff. It'll be like a new Bracky soon.
Now, if you're feeling discouraged by the number of views you're getting, honestly, that just happens at the beginning. And I see you only have like 10, 15 videos. That's just how it goes. You have to just keep producing videos, keep working on your craft, and you're just gonna continuously tell YouTube, "Hey, I'm making videos about games. I'm making videos about game development. I'm doing it. I'm doing it." And people will find you and you'll grow. But I think you're on the right track.
It does have one of the same problems, though, that's pretty common, which is that, all the videos are kind of a series, or a lot
Yeah.
of the videos are a series, which runs
Yeah.
into that problem of people are just like, without the context of the past series stuff, people just don't wanna watch because they see, like, number 7 or number 5 or whatever, and they
Yeah.
think, "I didn't watch number 1 through 4. That's probably not gonna make sense to me, so I'll skip it."
Yeah.
So I think that the adding gems to my game as a title is probably better than devlog number 7. But having a
100%.
playlist of the devlog is good, but
Yeah.
having them, numbered in there is probably not as good for just general search stuff.
I'd edit all those titles like number 6, number 5, and then instead of saying making a game in Unity, just say put the devlog in there for sure. Maybe Unity devlog after the pipe. But then before that, just find something in the video that you're doing, whatever you're creating or making, and then put that in as the call. Because someone might be working on a game and wanting to add power-ups or gems. So they might come across your thing and be like, oh, perfect. Or they might be like me. I just like watching devlogs. But even I probably would be like, making a game in Unity devlog 6, probably not. I probably wouldn't click on that. What I would click on is like, adding achievements to my game today, or whatever. It doesn't have to be adding every single time, but
Right.
yeah, you get the idea.
Some feature, like the key fun part of the video, right? Like the clickbaity part of the video. But also just try making, I mean, the editing skills are definitely there. Try making just a video that's like a just title and like how you do this thing, and that thing can be part of what you did. So like if there's a chunk of your game that you can like extract out into a concept that would apply to other games too, and just have like this little mini piece of like, here's how you handle like jumping a character on a moving platform or something like that, right? Or whatever the type of thing is, and do it just a video on that, like the specifics, like break down the details of how to do it, but with the fun, cool, interesting editing stuff going on too. I think
Yeah.
that would be a big hit.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, I like it.
Looking good. Looking good.
All right, let's see what else we got. A couple more.
One Fun Master Ed.
Pulling it up now. Fun Master Ed. All right.
Oh, I like that.
Harder,
I made,
even harder.
but even harder, and trained an AI to beat it. That's
I like
good. That's good. I like that.
Yeah. All right. Let's thumbs up there. I've been forgetting to hit those. But yeah, I like the title. Oh, cool. Title already. The video length is too short for YouTube to care, unfortunately.
One thing I'll say about all these channels we've looked at so far, I haven't really been able to watch the videos and get a sense of like camera presence and things like that. So I think the last channel we saw, like he had some pretty good camera presence, but that's just a skill that you need to work on if you're going to be the type of YouTuber who comes on camera, which obviously is a good thing to do because it helps people associate you to your channel and they'll want to follow you, become part of your community. Camera presence is something that's really, really hard. At least for me, it was really, really hard. And some people are more charismatic and it just comes a lot easier, but it's just something you got to work on. And honestly, as painful as it is, you just need to watch yourself back. And
the hardest part.
Friggin' yeah, it's the worst. I was just joking in my chat about how I used to be orange in my videos because I didn't have my lighting set up correctly, and like my on-camera presence was so weird and robotic.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but you don't learn until you do it. You know what I mean? You just have to get in front of the camera and be like, "Oh wow, I look like a robot," and then fix that.
Oh yeah, and you'll notice it, I think, pretty quickly too, like how quickly you can improve, I guess. Because I remember when I started, I was just terrified, like just talking on a camera. I hated it, hated it. I had to like re-record it like a dozen times. I'm still garbage at the end. Like, but you just keep practicing it, and you definitely get better at it. One of the things that helped too was this is not an option again right now with Toastmasters. I don't know if you ever done that before. Like a
Well,
organization is just about public speaking, and they have meetings like globally. Normally they're in person and it's like a couple hours, like hour or two once a week, going in and talking and practicing public speaking to
yeah,
be able to like get the thoughts straight and get them out without stumbling through the words really. And it really, really helped for that. So
yeah.
if that's ever an option, I'd jump into that for anybody who's struggling with that. On this channel specifically, though, I think aside from not being visible, it seems like it's doing relatively good. And I think that some of the videos kind of show what matters, right? Like you look at the comparison here, Pong, but it's fun. It's also 8 minutes. It's an interesting, unique title. It has made in 2 days right at the top, so it's intriguing. Like, hey, you made a fun game in 2 days. And then same with this ecosystem one, right? I think that this, like the video, the thumbnail is cool. The fact that you're simulating an entire ecosystem and doing it in 10 minutes, like it's a, it's definitely clickbaity enough to get a lot of views. It's got way more views than subscribers, right? Which is what you want. If you're getting a lot more views on a video than subscribers, that's perfect. And he's got 300 subscribers and 600 views. My guess is that in these videos, you're not reminding people to subscribe, and as obnoxious and annoying as it is, I highly recommend that you do it because it makes a huge difference. Which reminds me, if you haven't already subscribed and you're watching this somewhere, make sure that you hit subscribe or hit the thumbs up button or just leave a comment in the comment saying that you were already subscribed. YouTube really likes all of that engagement and stuff, and it will promote the things. So if you're getting that many views on a video, I would bet that you didn't in anywhere in that say, "Hey, don't forget to hit thumbs up and subscribe
Yeah,
if you like this kind of thing."
100%.
And also just ask for comments too. Like if you comments can be really, really valuable. I don't reply to all my comments anymore. I try to reply to a lot, but I generally like read them all. I just like skim through my phone constantly, and you get all kinds of really good feedback in the comments. So I ask for them and then try to reply to them too. But I think overall, this seems like there's some really good videos. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you completely. I think it looks really solid. I think you're on the right track. Definitely want to increase the subscribability of your channel by telling people that that's something you want them to do. And yeah, there's definitely, I would say, more room for growth too. Like the Pong, but it's fun was a solid title, but I think there was an opportunity missed, which you can always go back and edit it to say like maybe Pong. I made Pong in Unity, but fun. Like just again, there's like keywords that you can throw in that communicate both to YouTube and the viewer. You know, a little more specificity can go a long way, and it could be just what someone's looking for. Um, you know, so that those are some comments there. Also, I noticed you put all of the tags in your description. I don't know if that was on accident, if you just copy pasted, but I haven't really. I've actually recently kind of gone through my descriptions and tried to craft a more simplified description. And I feel like it can be overwhelming when you have a lot in your description. Now, you don't really have a lot of calls to action here, so it doesn't seem like it's a big deal. But if there were certain links you wanted to highlight, like your Discord server, your Twitter, or something like that, even someone just hitting the show more and seeing a big blob of long text, that can just be overwhelming, and they might not even read, and try to find the links that you have in there. So recently, something I've done is I've really kind of toned down my descriptions to have only the links that I care about and formatted just so that it's not so overwhelming for someone to like click show more and like, well, what is all this crap? There's like 100 links in here. So
I
that
just
would be,
figured nobody ever reads the descriptions. I,
yeah,
I assumed
yeah.
that it's like 1% of people, and that the description was mostly for the AI on YouTube. I don't
I
know.
think
Maybe
some people
people do read
do.
them.
What's funny is like for the longest time I had a broken link in one of my affiliate links, and it was like rainbow folders, but it was pointing to Editor Console Pro or something like that. And I got so many comments about, hey, this link is the wrong link. And I was like, holy crap, I can't believe people actually go in there and click the links and view them. So yeah, I think people actually look at the description more than you'd imagine. But I know for a fact that if you see a long description, me personally, for a fact I'll click away from it. I won't even read it. But if it's a reasonably short description and formatted with emojis or whatever the case, I'll read through it. I'll look for some stuff.
Yeah, I never read them unless I'm looking to see like what their equipment was. Every now and then, I'm like, what did they use for their camera? That looks really cool. I wonder if they list that info. 'Cause sometimes they'll put it in there. Like, oh,
Yeah,
go
yeah,
click
yeah.
on your Amazon link to see what setup you got.
I mean,
But I could see people. I mean, people do all kinds of different stuff.
if 1% of viewers click a link, an affiliate link, and buy something, I'm happy. You know what I mean? So like, I just do whatever I can to make that 1%, click on a link and grab something from the asset store.
Yeah,
Goes a long
that's
way.
so here we've got. I just moved on to the next one,
Cool.
and let's see. Interesting. So it's a kind of a big. Yes, is it? I'm not really sure. It's so much different stuff. I mean, it's definitely like a lot of the kinds of things that I would be interested in. It's like a mix of cool hardware stuff, art stuff, game stuff, and
The titles are very symbol heavy, like installing add dash ons in Blender dash number sign dash. I know it sounds crazy, but you want to make your titles as human readable as possible and as brief as possible. Like main menu UI dash number 3 dash Unity 2D tutorial. There's just so much to unpack in there. Like, okay, we're doing a UI, but we're doing a main menu UI. This is the third iteration of this, evidently, and this is a Unity 2D tutorial. But I don't really like. What am I doing with the main menu? Am I going to build the menu like from scratch, or since it's number 3, is it already built?
I get
You
the sense
really
that this is more of a devlog part.
Yeah, so what I'm trying to say there when I mentioned that about that particular video is like I'm just looking at all your videos and looking at the titles alone. It's very hard for me to at a glance understand what it is this channel is all about.
Yeah, or and same with like even some of the videos. And some of them it's pretty obvious, but I think a lot of it is just the context switching. Like I don't know anything about Farm Simulator, so all of the farm ones, like I'm not sure if they're a game thing or if they're playing it or what. And it's just because of the thing I don't have context on. I assume that for people that don't understand about the mice or echo dots and stuff and are confused. Maybe not. I guess you should know that stuff in game development, but they might. Yeah. So I would probably focus it definitely more. Maybe come up with some sections and channels here or some sections in here. Not so. Actually, let me go to home. I went to videos. Yeah. So I'd definitely redo the homepage here so it's not just the uploads and have some sections. If you're gonna focus on like 3 different things, like you want to have hardware reviews, make that a section in there that's hardware reviews and do all the hardware things. Another that's like farm simulator things, put them in there, and another that's game dev stuff. And I'd say put those in the sections, but then definitely work on the titles. And the other thing to notice is like the text on these is really, really, really small. Like this text here, whatever that thing says in red,
Mm.
I don't know what it says. And like these other little ones that I'm reading, I can read them, but like I'm not blind. I got pretty good eyesight and a big monitor. My wife wouldn't be able to. If my wife was standing here, she couldn't read those because they're small.
Mm.
That's why like a lot of those thumbnails that you see that are really popular, they'll have 1 or 2 big words across the front, and it's taking up the whole thing because it has to stand out in a list of 40 other things. Like your
Yeah.
thumbnail needs to stand out in a list of 40 things. If it's something that I have to squint my eyes to read, probably not going to click on it, right? Or if it just looks like a default window, I'm probably not going to click on it. So thumbnails make a way bigger difference than you would expect. I definitely work on those. I would say get really good thumbnails. Try different thumbnails. You can A/B test them now with some of the tools even.
Oh
And
yeah.
Yeah, get those up there because it'll make a huge difference. I've changed the thumbnail on a video and seen it go from like no views to skyrocket or the opposite direction. Um, one time YouTube recommended a thumbnail that had my wife on it. Right, video just skyrocketed on views because it was picture of my wife. That was the weirdest thing.
I
Like,
gotta
all
try
right, you
that.
gotta be in more thumbnails, but it was just like the YouTube part where it clipped just for laughing. So having people's faces in thumbnails and happy people in thumbnails helps a lot, or just the thing that you're trying to show in them. So I would work on those a lot. It'd be probably the main piece I'd focus on.
Yeah.
All right, got 3 left.
All right.
You got enough time to go through the rest of these?
Yeah,
I
I just I got enough time to go through the rest, and then we can wrap it up.
I don't wanna kill your whole day, but go
this
through these and, do some more.
this
Hopefully, we can do some more of these. This is a lot of fun.
is
All right,
helping with
so
my Sunday scaries. I don't know if you've heard of that.
all right, pulling it up. This one is, Ace Squared Beta version 1 testing. Oh, Ace of Spades remake. Okay.
Nice.
Oh, cool. So I like the, you jump right in and you can see that, like, it's a remake of the game almost instantly. That's cool. Looks neat.
Oh, it's like an online. It's like a multiplayer game.
Yeah. Looks like it. Okay, so let's see. Let's go through here and see what we got. Zombie horror survival game. Okay, so it hasn't been a lot other than the 2 most recent posts. So the Ace of Spades one and then this other one, oh, playing Rust. Interesting. I watched through here and see him taking out my son. My 18-year-old plays Rust all the time. Loves Rust. Interesting. Okay. So, yeah, for this, I'd say it's just kind of early on. I really like the A squared beta one, like the way that the video just pops right in. I didn't hear the audio, but the way that it pops right into action and stuff. I think it would be intriguing enough. I think if that was the intro to a like, here's how I made an Ace game, or here's how I'm making it, or going through the, maybe not the technical details of stuff, but like the high level of like, here are the things I'm doing, and cut it up into it could be really fun. I don't have a whole lot of advice here just because there's not a lot of stuff on the channel yet, but I think that it's this video alone is inspiring for me. I don't know. What do you think, man?
Yeah, I mean, the channel looks very young in that it only has a couple videos, and not a lot of direction. I do see that you're developing a game here, so I see dev test video 1, zombie survival horror game test, and then the couple of videos seem to just be all about this Ace squared beta. So I think make it. I think if you can make that clearer with with thumbnails that deliver that message more clearly, and with titles that also are a little less busy, I think that'd really help, because I'm having to. I mean, we're only doing this because we're reviewing your channel, so like we're taking the time to extrapolate what it is you're doing here. But the normal average viewer would not even bother. If they don't understand what it is you're trying to do right off the bat, I don't think anyone would even click into this. So I think the video itself, obviously we haven't been able to watch it, but it goes right into the action. So that's cool. And it seems to just rely heavily on what you're actually developing. So there's not much need for any changes there. I mean, maybe there's some cuts you can do, and I'm not sure what you're saying in there, but I would say right off the bat, just looking at the channel, I without digging, I don't really know what you're up to. So that would be my feedback, is just try to work on those titles and thumbnails a little bit so that it's a little clearer what you're trying to tell your audience.
Yeah, start filling out the about and the tags and all that other stuff, and start building it up. But yeah, I think you can definitely build a channel just around building that game, right? Like
Yeah.
serving potential. All right, let's see what else we got. Two more. Do this again. It's a lot of fun. It was more fun than I expected.
Yeah,
All
this is
right,
good.
so this one's a very small channel. We got 1 subscriber
All right.
and one video.
video.
How to spin and draw. Oh,
Embed your draw in Blender. All right.
interesting.
Nerd Sherpa. That's a cool name.
Oh, here,
I like
let's
the
do
transition
100% subscriber increase. Bam.
there. Nice.
Now you can only do a 50%. Sorry, Charles.
All right.
Okay, so I'm terrible with Blender, so I'm probably not going to be able to give a whole lot of feedback here, but I will definitely subscribe and like. Yeah, I'd say it's very early on. Just keep going with it, build it out. I like the thumbnail. Thumbnail's cool.
The
Um,
chapters.
yeah, so it looks like it's a good start, but the fact there's been nothing in 5 months means that probably started, didn't see much action, and didn't do anything. You're definitely not gonna see anything until you start just pushing out videos constantly. Just try, when I started making videos, like, my goal was to do, and this is ridiculous, 3 videos a day, right?
Whoa.
My goal was, like, make 3 videos a day. If I make 3 videos a day, I'll have a ridiculous number of videos really, really fast. And I did that for a while, and the videos generally were bad, but it made it so that I was going so fast that, I had to get better, right? Like, you're going to improve if you're just constantly just burning through stuff. So, maybe 3 is too many depending on how much time you got, but try doing, like, a video a day. Doesn't have to be the perfect video, doesn't have to be amazingly edited or whatever. Just make one, get it out, get it done, and then move on to the next one and keep iterating and just don't stop. Right? It's just mostly just about being consistent and constantly going. All right, I want to jump
Yeah.
on to this last one. My wife just got home too, so it'll be perfect timing. Let's see. What do we got here? Paste in.
This one looks a little more fleshed out for sure.
Okay.
Got the YouTubey thumbnails with different reactions on his face. How tutorials are holding you back. That first video is great. Tutorial hell, how tutorials are holding you back. That's such a common theme that I've seen. So that's cool of you. And then the video he pushed in was why UI is more interesting than you think.
Yeah, it looks like some good editing.
Yeah.
Nice. I mean,
So
good clips in the back. So far, I mean, without the audio, it seems good. What's up?
I have the audio on, and I can say that he's got good presence. You know, the audio is really good too. Like the mic he's using is pretty high quality, so that's super important. And like he's also very articulate, so that helps too.
Yeah, microphone quality and audio quality, by the way, more important than video or more important than anything else because people can stand to, watch a video where it's a little grainy and doesn't look great. People cannot stand to watch or listen to a video where it's like a screechy noise in the background or a high pitched thing or just, big variation. Like getting the audio right is way, way more important than the video, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It'll knock people just off really, really fast if it's not good. So yeah, for this channel, I don't know. Let's see. Just going through
I
the
just
first video looked really good. I mean, videos seem like they're doing
Are you a
relatively.
finisher? Are you a finisher? Which indie dev archetype are you? That's his latest video, and like I'm sure that's what we were talking about earlier. Like you got to be able to finish what you're working on. And what's interesting is he mentioned Derek Yu. I wonder if this is I literally just read. I don't have it on me. I read the Big Boss book by Derek Yu about Spelunky. It's a really great book.
Oh, I'll have to check it out.
Great book, and he seems to be talking about David Yu or Derek Yu. So that's cool. Yeah, good channel. Looks good. Looks like you're on the right track. Mad book.
Yeah. I mean, it seems good, but let's see. He's got 600 subscribers. Oh, and it looks like he's picking up. He got a lot of views as of what was that yesterday? He got a big jump. I guess it was that video right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, to be honest, I really like the thumbnail there and the question, right? Because like I said before, I really love having videos with just a question in them, so that people kind of get curious. I feel like it kind of like makes people think about it for a second, makes people want to click.
Yeah.
And this one's like, hey, am I a finisher? Let's see it. Like it makes you want to click and see the answer to that. The UI one behind it, I think that is actually decent. It's just that UI is know, it's hard to convince people that it's not boring, and the fact that the word boring is hidden by the numbers kind of hilarious. Say, like, not boring right on the front, right? Like, I think if the title just said "not boring," and nothing else in the thumbnail, it would probably get more clicks, right? Because people go, "Whoa, what's not boring? Let me click on it."
Yeah, you got to do the whole hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah. Well, I know it's just kind of like the size of the text. right? So cause and effect. Overall though, I think let's see, I like it. Let me see. Just click on a random video and see what's in the actual content here too. So didn't have chapters. I would definitely recommend those, and I would go to the 8-minute mark. I mean, you're not at 1,000 subscribers yet, but once you hit 1,000 subscribers, you're gonna want every video to be at 8 minutes, just so you can turn on the monetization. Because YouTube will, I mean, it's just literally it's gonna promote your stuff better if monetization's on. If it's off, it just trims it down. The second you turn it on, you'll see a bit of a spike in growth there. Um, but it makes sense though. I
Yeah.
would get it up to 8 minutes, but other than that, I mean, it looks relatively good. Some chapters maybe, I don't know, tags look relatively full. What does TubeBuddy say? Or, good IQ, 0 ranked tags. See, you're full up on tags though, so I mean, it seems good. It's just not performing well enough yet because there's not enough traffic on it. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't have any super actionable feedback other than maybe some of the thumbnails a little bit bigger like this one. I like that big and visible and, it looks good.
Yeah. My recommendation, if I can go back and tell myself, give myself advice at this stage, I would say go back and rewatch all your videos frequently and try to nitpick it and find places to improve it. Because there's always going to be improvement. Always, always, always going to be improvement. And really, the best way to improve is to look back at what you've been doing, and it's hard. I mean, there are videos that I've put out and never watched again. And then recently, I went through an exercise of watching my videos. You guys could probably tell that my most recent video looked very different from all of my other videos. And it was a lot of that was just because I was watching my videos honestly and really seeing like, wow, that looks awful. Um, but it's really good. Oh, look, Madbook's in your chat. Really valuable
Oh,
feedback. I'm listening to intently. Oh, that's great, man. And I saw some other folks in the chat too that we were reviewing their channels. But anyways, yeah, Madbook, since I see that you're here, watch back your first video was 5 months ago. You might have some unlisted ones, but just go back and watch that one. Go watch your recent one. Try to see what direction you're headed. And there's so many things you can improve on. Your audio equipment seems good. Maybe you can improve where you're sitting, what your setup looks like. Maybe you can invest in like some lights or something like that. But there's always areas of improvement. And I think the best way to really improve is to kind of be hard on yourself and see your old stuff.
and take notes on it too. Like when you're going through watching it, take notes on the things that you want to change and improve. I think it helps.
Jason I'm sorry to interrupt. Jason pinged me in Discord. Jason's story. Guy's always around. he left some advice in my chat, so I'll just relay it. He's also, if you're like me, uncomfortable talking to the camera, common tip for public speaking is to just to look over the target. Don't look down at the lens. Look at the top of the camera. That's interesting. It might make you more comfortable and more natural. One tip for the channel is that the talking head stuff is recorded against a white wall. Try to avoid that. Yeah, I can see that. Instead, look at both of these guys, which is us. They use an interesting background to make you enjoy the content more. So yeah, I guess that would be something I would say, like the white background thing. I did that for a long time and it doesn't look flattering.
Yeah, I think having some sort of a background there helps a lot. And I used to do the green screen, but it's so much harder than doing just decorating up a background.
Yeah.
Night and day. The weird thing for me was like when I saw, I don't know about you, but like when the pandemic stuff started hitting and like all of the people on TV started working from home in their home studio setups, and I'd see them and it's like their kitchen's in the background and it's a mess and there's like dogs falling over and all kinds of stuff. I'm like, wow, like everybody doesn't just instinctively do this stuff, like even the people that have like these nice professional backgrounds, like they didn't do that. Somebody else went there. They're just sitting there, so
Yeah.
it's and it stands out, right? I guess that's the thing. I was like I'm watching, I'm like, why is this guy talking to me from some weird dirty basement? like it's some famous newscaster, right? Like
Yeah.
it stands out and feels weird. So I'd say a little bit of effort on the background can go a long way, and a lot more than a green screen, just effort wise. like the amount of energy I put into decorating the background is way less than I spent trying to get lighting right and remove green.
Yeah. Yeah. That can be such a pain. And you can really like you go to Target. I mean, I bought this bookshelf recently for like maybe 20 bucks or 40 bucks on Amazon. Got a little light bulb on it, you know. I got an LED panel that's shooting up some RGB lighting here. That thing was like maybe 30 bucks. You can really get a lot out of little. It's very affordable to up your background game a little bit. So otherwise the channel looks great, honestly. I think you're on the right track. I think your voice will come out more the more you do it. I think it's unavoidable that the first 50 videos you produce, there's gonna be some remnants of, okay, I'm looking at a camera and I'm talking to it, and this is super weird. Like that is gonna come out no matter what you do. So I think you just need to work at it, and you're gonna have a much more relaxed and confident camera presence, and that'll go a long way, and you'll grow. So good job.
Yeah, totally agree. Man, that's fun. I think, yeah, I don't know about you, but I definitely want to do some more of these again, just kind of going over people's channels, and maybe some specific videos and get into details and things. I think that would be fun. But I also have fun just talking about random Unity stuff.
Oh, for sure.
Were there any other things you really wanted to just chat about today before we wrap things up? And are you up for doing this again sometime? With this restream stuff, we can pop in more people too. So I think it'd be awesome to get like Story in here and a couple other people.
Oh, yeah. I know he's chomping at the bit.
I had in mind. What's that?
Yeah, for sure. I know he's chomping at the bit to get it.
Yeah, I think it'd be fun to just do it. Just get especially just people who've got YouTube channels in here, just talking about whatever random things, answering game dev questions, or just people who've got some interesting stuff. So I think this setup has made it so much easier. I love it.
Yeah, man.
Having to drag things around with Zoom windows and OBS and stuff. Oh.
I know. Dude, and I always mess it up. I always start the stream, and audio's not working or something is wrong. It's so annoying.
Always a problem. I agree. That was my issue, and like, or the levels are wrong or something else. And here it's just nice and simple. So I'm loving it. It's a great solution.
Yeah, we should do it again, and I'm totally here for it. And there's like endless number of things we could talk about. And I know that y'all were in the chat a lot, and we didn't really talk too much to the chat, but that could be an opportunity too, to like just have people come in and do like Q&A one day. Yeah, we should do this more often, definitely.
Yeah, I think that'd be fun. Just start doing some weekly calls or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm cool. I'm here for it. We can do, you know, your advice of having like a weekly call, like we can just do it live.
Yeah, maybe we do that. Just do it again next week and start bringing more people in and start doing them live. It could be a blast, I think.
Sounds good. We'll talk about that. But yeah, this was really great. Happy we did it, and thank you all for being here.
Yeah, and if you haven't subscribed to his channel, go check it out. Can you drop a chat or a link in the chat real quick?
Yeah, I was actually trying to.
I don't know why I asked you. Like, I can't do it.
I can't figure out how to. I guess I have to go to your channel, huh?
I just dropped it in there. I need to make sure it's in my description.
Smash that subscribe button and the like button, and wouldn't be much appreciated, of course.
I'll have to go subscribe to you.
This year, I'm really trying to take this thing and see if I can move towards doing it full time. So
yeah, it's cool. Good way to go. What is your focus going to be? Like, what do you really want to focus on as like is there a key thing you've got in mind that you want to like do on the channel?
Yeah, I don't know. I've been back and forth a lot. Like I do the skits. I think I'm gonna try to do the skits a little less, Charles and Barrow skits, just because they're very, very, very time consuming. So I think I might go back to like covering Unity features. Like this UI builder kind of intrigues me, and I also want to do some devlog type work as well. Just trying to like mix it up a little bit, because recently I've been doing the Charles and Barrows format, and it's great. And I love doing them, but they're very hard to do. So I'm trying to like do less of that.
Yeah, that's a lot of work, right? Going through the edits back and forth. I can imagine.
Well, I mean, at least 16 hours, and that's not even counting like writing the scripts, you know, and all that. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna do more. I'm trying to lower the barrier for entry for myself, because the Bartles and Charles thing is a super high barrier for entry. And like, as you can see, I've not been doing weekly videos. I've just been focusing on one video per month at this point. But I want to be able to get back. Like this last video I did was on the Unity programming features in the latest version of Unity. So easy to produce, such an easy video to produce, and that still provided a lot of value. So I want to find that area where like I can continue to provide value to you all watching, but not kill myself, and so that I'm not able to put out videos. So somewhere like that. I think it'll topic wise it'll probably be like game architecture and Unity features that are interesting to me. Like the UI builder seemed pretty cool. So yeah. Cool. What about you, man? You've been kind of posting a little less frequently lately. It looks like you're trying to make a push.
Yeah, I've just been working on a big coursework update.
Yeah,
a big thing on game architecture, heavily on scriptable object stuff, and solving a lot of the problems that I find like I've run into in the past and people have run into with just linking things together and the architecture side. So I've been focusing most of like 80% of my time on that, which leaves me very little time to do video stuff. So I'm doing a little bit of videos here and there, a little bit of live streams, and the live streams are kind of leading up to some more videos that I'm gonna do and get out relatively soon. I'll probably knock out a couple next month is my guess. Probably like 4 or 5 videos next month. And then the course stuff. I've already told people, but it's coming in May. There'd be a big update there. One of the things, by the way, while we're on here just talking and blabbing, I wanted to share. I found a tool. A friend shared a tool, and I've been using it ever since. And it's just really cool for architecture and game design stuff. It was this Milanote, Milanote. I got recommended it, and I started playing with it, and then I put it on my started using it on my laptop, and been pretty much in there every day since. So it's something that I would definitely recommend checking out if you're curious about like just project management of architecture stuff or game design type stuff.
I'm a sucker for really all these
cool game design templates and stuff. I'll probably share some screenshots of the stuff I've been putting together with them, but I really just I was impressed, and like I blabbed about it in one of those. I mentioned having weekly calls with friends. One of those calls, I blabbed for like 10 minutes, and I felt like I was giving an ad. On this thing, and they're not even game developers; they're software developers. And it's like, hey, this thing is really cool, and it's great for game dev stuff. It was neat. I was having a blast with it. It was like Visio, but like to the next level, like way beyond, like version 10. It was cool.
Yeah, this looks great. I'm definitely interested in checking this out.
Try out the template. So you create a new board and then go like make a new template, like game design, or under software, there's like technical architecture. And each one of those things, you realize like each thing in there can be another thing that clicks through and links around and link all the stuff up. So it was neat. Very cool one. Somebody is asking if I plan on doing VR stuff soon. Probably not again really soon, personally. I mean, I have my Quest like right down there in the box next to me, but it's mostly the time thing. Like I like it, it's cool, but I just haven't had the time to dive in and use the latest Quest stuff in the latest libraries. But I don't know. That's all I got, man. I think I'm about done if you're done, man.
Yeah, I'm good to go. This was real fun. We'll have to do this again. And yeah, thank you all for joining. And Jason, thanks for thinking of me to join in on this. I think this was great. I've been nervous to stream. I mean, I just haven't had the time and the bandwidth to do it. But Jason literally hit me up yesterday and was like, "Hey, you want to do a stream tomorrow?" And I was like, I have to say yes. I just can't. I got to do it. I got to do it.
The funny thing is, like, I'd been planning on sending you that message for about a week. I was like, "Yep, I'm gonna do it." I told my wife, I was like, "I'm gonna do a stream with Charles on Sunday." I think like last week, and I just never remembered to send you the message to tell you that we were doing the stream. I was like, "Oh yeah, I got to tell Charles we're doing the stream." But yeah, I think maybe next week or something we'll do some, and maybe some of the other guys, maybe some of the guys that submitted some stuff can even hop in and just chat about their channels for a bit. We'll talk other stuff. I think it'd be fun.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Interesting stuff. Cool. Well, all right. Yeah, I'm gonna shut up now and let everybody go. Let you go and go say hi to my wife.
Yeah, same here. My wife.
Thanks again, everybody, for coming out. Really appreciate it. And
you guys.
Carlson. Thanks for everybody for submitting questions and stuff. I had a blast with them, and we'll definitely do more soon.
Awesome.
Oh, and don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thumbs up and all that stuff. Leave a
Yes,
comment.
please. Later, guys.